6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague on Portland Sports Leader 1080 Van. Yes, indeedy. Happy Monday, everybody. What a shot. Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers. They've done it again.
What is happening? I can't wait to see the end of the Women's College World Series.
I think it's going to be good.
I think that championship game is going to be nutso. Texas Tech.
I'm laying the money on Texas.
I'm just adding into my anger right now on a Monday. This isn't good for my soul. It's not good for my heart. It's not good for anybody.
Can you believe that finals game last night? Could you believe that game? Halliburton, all those shots he
I thought
made?
that was over. I thought OKC had it. 1-0.
No chance.
Here we are. Halliburton. Hello.
When are we going to learn the Pacers can do this? When are we going to figure it out? You know what I should do? I should gamble them when they're losing by 15 points.
Well, I think what's going to happen, I would hammer the Thunder to win comfortably in Game 2.
Okay, I agree with that take. Yeah.
I think the Pacers are actually going to go up 2-1 in this series.
Find a way to win Game 3 at home?
I got a feeling.
Okay.
And then I think they're going to be close to a 3-1 lead, and we're going to sit there stunned, Dirt, that they're going to do it.
We're going to be so close to thinking, oh, my God, the Pacers are a win away from the NBA Finals.
And I think SGA is just going to be a unit.
Just
in
too
the
good.
Fourth quarter, yeah.
Pacers going to miss a lot of free throws probably, slowly let one slip through their fingers at home and have a 2-2 tie going back to OKC. I could see it playing out that way.
I think we're going to have 2-2, yeah, going back Game 5.
It makes sense.
Hello, everybody. We haven't broken anything, although some people want to break stuff here.
This is a live show. It is indeed Monday, June 16th. It is not a Friday.
We did not record this.
From a week and a half ago. I promise you, it is Monday, June 16th right now. You know how I can prove it? J.J. Spahn won the U.S. Open yesterday. There you go.
You could have recorded that on Sunday night.
That's true. That is true. I could have done that. If I would have picked J.J.
Are we on
Spahn.
YouTube?
We are. We are live on YouTube.
We are live on YouTube?
This is a wide orbit will issue.
Just will.
Figure it out, Ortner.
Damn
I
it,
am
Ortner.
figuring it out. I think
some of our swag should be over.
Yeah,
I think
cancel it now.
I fixed something.
Oh.
You might have fixed it?
You're using
I got something in. I don't know how, but it's in now.
Oh.
I got stuff in.
You got something in.
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
I actually have the answer to this. You're not going to believe me, but I really have the answer. I've been right on this. Swag has had issues. You've had issues. I've seen Schultz have issues before. I've said this too many times to count. We start the thing at 6 a.m. Nobody is here before 6. I don't even know it would be Sunday with Rashad and Joe. So, what time does that show end? 11?
11 a.m., yeah.
So, from 11 until we crack the mic at 6 a.m., nobody is here in this building, at least on the fan. And I just said this before, everything needs to be shut down and restarted as soon as somebody gets in here.
Turn it all off. And then turn it all back on.
And you know what's funny is
Monday
said
morning.
that before, and they're like, well, I had to restart. And I'm like, exactly.
Yeah. You know what would have been great? If it just was already off. Then some weird update couldn't have happened that screwed everything up.
It's ridiculous.
Turn the computers on Monday morning, and now we're ready to rock and roll.
We have a lot to get to today, actually. There was a very busy week of sports.
There was a lot going on.
It was one of those, you were away from your phone or your laptop or TV for a couple hours. You come back. Oh, a little bit of news right there.
We got basketball trades. We got baseball trades.
College football trades.
Yes.
Have you not seen that?
No, I don't think I have.
The big college football trade?
Did somebody get traded in college football?
Yeah, well,
Who
they're
got dealt? Who's getting traded?
Sunbelt team.
Oh, I did see that.
Okay,
Now I know
all
you're
right.
talking
Well, there you go.
about.
There's a trade.
I was kind of hoping a player got traded. Like a team actually tried to do that. Like our backup corner. We're going to trade you to Mississippi State. What? You can't do that.
How many years away are we from that?
$100,000 in NIL spending.
Exactly.
What do you think? We'll trade you our number 2 slot corner. How's that? Sound like a good deal?
I'll give you the Dr. Pepper deal. $250K.
Give you a Gatorade machine with it. What else you need to make this
for your
deal
future
happen?
rights to your 4-star DB.
You give us all your coach visors and some of your headsets. We'll make this trade happen. We can work together.
What does he trade for in Moneyball? Vending machines, doesn't he?
I think it's vending machines, yeah.
I got a machine that's not working. I just need you to replace it.
Can we get a new soda machine in the clubhouse? That'd be great. My morale's a little bit down right now in the old Coliseum.
The big news of the weekend, though, despite the NBA, the golf, the
Oh.
baseball, the
All the
college
stuff.
football, the college baseball.
Hockey wasn't great.
Dirt popped his soccer cherry.
I did pop my soccer cherry.
And Dirt saw maybe the funniest
I did.
possible ending to a soccer match you could have drawn up.
Yeah.
For a guy who's not really all that into soccer
No.
and is looking like, hey, Is this somewhere I'm going to bring Teddy ball game again?
Is this a thing I'm going to do in my life?
The way this ended on Friday night was probably scripted by somebody, but it wasn't me.
Pretty funny, actually. It was a delightful night out. Our dear friend Chuck here at the workplace got us tickets. I don't even know how this came about. We just were talking about doing something together. Let's go, have a night on the town.
Chuck, I'll tell you how this came together. So we both talked to Chuck. I was talking to Chuck at a lengthy time one day. And Chuck has been going through stuff in his personal life. And so I said, Chuck, you need to get out. You need to have some fun in your life, man. And I didn't say specifically anything other than that.
And we just ended up with Timbers tickets.
We should go to a Timbers game. What? I got tickets.
All right.
Okay, I'm in.
Mark it on the calendar, dude.
You got it.
Marked it down. It was a little chilly going into the evening.
Well, you wore shorts.
I was okay, though. Ultimately, I was all right.
Yeah.
And it was funny. A couple of things from the night. One, I loved Jason Sakanik big timing us with field seats and tweeting me back saying you got to get better seats than what you got.
Oh, was he down there on Friday?
He was down there. He
was on Twitter.
He was sniffing the players' cologne. He said, "Come on, we need to get you and Blue Line Brandon upgraded here." And said, "Hey, I don't have the Sakanik contract. All right, I need that kind of money to sit on the field."
Well, I actually don't think it's his seats.
No, it's
I
not.
think they're a buddy of his.
I think he gets them for free, which is a delightful connection to have.
Also,
I did tell him too. I bet that soccer players are the best smelling athletes in the world. Maybe not best.
Basketball players.
Not during the game, though. I bet soccer players smell good during games.
No, I think it's basketball players.
I think they reapply their cologne at halftime.
There's
the
more
slick
scented,
back hair,
more scented lotion in the NBA.
And more scented lotion in
I
the
think they're
NBA.
wearing scented lotion, so when they sweat, it's that lotion smell that's kind of going about. I think soccer players are definitely in this running.
Like the only other one that I will put up there is golfers, because I remember being at golf tournaments, like at the Masters, and standing by Jason Day as he was about to go tee off, and all I could think about was how good he smelled.
How many athletes?
I was like
sniffing?
7 feet away from him, and you couldn't miss it. It wasn't like an over.
Was it a cologne?
It was for sure a cologne, and it wasn't an overwhelming like, dude, you way overdid that. It was a strong smell, and it smelled delightful,
but not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way. No, I just thought, dude, you smell really good right now, and you're about to go tee off at Augusta.
Who is the worst smelling athlete?
Football players, probably. Right?
No,
hockey players.
Linemen.
I got
100%.
Have you ever been in a hockey locker room?
No.
Hockey locker rooms.
I've never been to an NHL game.
They smell like death. Like you just killed a bunch of dead animals and left them in a room over the weekend. And
I've been in a football locker room. They smell like death as well.
It's pretty bad, but I don't think it touches a hockey locker room.
I'm going to give you a sneaky good candidate here.
Ooh, what do you got?
And it's not a sport that you love. NASCAR drivers have got to just reek.
They got to stink, yeah.
They're losing like 15 pounds a race. They're pissing in their pants.
Yeah.
There's no chance they smell good at all.
Sitting their own pee-poo.
Yeah.
That's not a good outcome.
Not a chance.
You're sweating like hell. That suit's got to be heavy.
Yeah.
Like it's just not breathable material.
Is there a fourth, or is that the top three in sports that we could do a poll question on? The athlete that smells the worst.
Yeah, you go football player, hockey player, NASCAR driver, or just,
Would you throw jockey in there, or is that not athlete enough?
That's not athlete enough.
Because the horse is the one doing really the work.
And the horse is the one that stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, the horse stinks. If you want to go horse on me, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I don't know about jockey. You're just kind of riding along.
Okay.
Who would be a fourth?
I think baseball players smell all right.
I think baseball players smell fine. There's not enough physical activity throughout the course of the game where your pregame smell is going to wear off.
Right.
Very rarely. I'm
Right.
sure in the heat of the summer, maybe it happens on like a 1 o'clock Saturday game. But yeah, we'll have to think of a fourth. We'll do those poll questions today. It was funny though, because it was trending upon a 0-0 tie on Friday night. And if that would have happened, I would have never gone back.
Really?
Like if you give me my first.
So Kanik hits you up for those field seats, and he's like, "Hey, Dirt,
is the game at 7:30 again? I am so old. I'm going to complain. That was way too late, dude. The game ended at like 10:30. And we didn't realize how late it was. We were just like sitting there like, it's getting kind of dark. It's getting a little late. And I think you looked at your phone or something.
We walked out of the stadium, and
It's
I'm
like,
like,
dude,
dude, it's almost 10 o'clock.
it's
What's
like-
going on
We
here?
had to walk all the way back to the station. We tried those stupid Lime scooters, and they didn't work out.
Dude, we got totally robbed on that. So
I got to check my bank. I think somebody's still riding around on a Lime scooter on my dime right now.
My Bank of
Some
America app
crackhead
did
took
me a
one.
push notification. Your $2.10 has been charged.
Yeah, we got hosed.
So Dirt and I are at Providence. We're parked here at our building, which is off Northwest Thurman.
Yeah, we got a ride to a bar, and then the guy who gave us the ride to the bar bailed at halftime. So then we're just out, and that was only about a halfway drive anyways.
I mean, it's about a mile from here to the stadium, one road, straight shot, right? Not that bad. And it's not like it's 10 degrees outside. It was manageable.
a bit nippy, but
But
it's
I
all
look
right.
at Dirt and I go, I want to get home. I know Dirt wants to get home.
Yeah.
Let's get a scooter.
Let's ride some scooters out of this
I've
thing.
always wanted to. My wife never will, and I've never gotten one in downtown. I've only rented the Nike bike. So we pick up these Lime scooters. I've never done it. There's a QR code. I click it. I'm setting it up. Dirt's setting his up. Mine gets approved. I grab it. I yank it. It's not moving.
Not moving at all.
And now it's locked.
Yeah, you're locked up.
And I try to hit the button. It doesn't release the bike lock from it. And I'm sitting here being charged for something that I can't physically use.
Yeah, you paid for one, and then a guy comes out and was like, actually, I pre-reserved this.
Yeah.
We're like, wait, what? You could do that?
So then I had to end my ride. He activated his.
Yeah.
The lock comes off for him.
He just rides off. Like, dude, why'd you do that?
Dirt, I try to get one next to Dirt's. It doesn't bring up the QR code for some reason. So Dirt then opens it up, and now Dirt's got 2 scooters under his Lime account.
Dude.
And
Getting
we
hosed
grab
over
them.
here.
We start walking. We hit the gas. Nothing. And then the guy that took my scooter was like, sometimes you got to walk it before it gets going. So we start walking down the sidewalk next to people actually walking, and we're hitting the gas, and nothing is happening.
Like, this is awkward and uncomfortable.
And I feel like an idiot, and I'm done. I just put the kickstand back up, and I say, Dirt, just end it. We're walking. I'm not doing this.
We got back a little late. Long story short,
we got hosed.
It was a late night, and we couldn't find scooters, and that was kind of a bummer on Friday. Thankfully, they finally ended up scoring to give us something to cheer about. My hot takes on Timbers games is they should do more smoke bomb things throughout the course of the game. Those
you
were
liked
cool.
the smoke bomb.
I was a big smoke bomb.
What do you think about the Army?
Army was delightful.
Yeah.
They got the drums going and the trumpets going the entire game. Couldn't really
never
tell
stopped.
what they were chanting, but they were going the entire game, so that was entertaining. The new side, great seats, great visual of what's going on.
Yeah.
Didn't sit with on the old side, but I was with the Blue Hairs on the new side, and that was
the
great.
New side's great.
And I don't know who their goalie is, but he sucks. And he gave up a tying goal in the 93rd minute, and that was the most depressing end to a game to end in a 1-1 draw. Like, they were a man up. I'll give you the Soccer Dirt breakdown. A man up for the final, 40 minutes of the game. Took them forever just to score.
Yep.
They finally scored, and then in extra time, this dude has a ball. Stoppage time. It just bounces off of his hands.
Right in the chest.
Right in the chest. Easy little rebound, and they ended up tying. And that place was super depressed for the final 4 minutes of that game.
I will say a couple things here. One, they kind of deserve to get scored on. That second half,
Dude, they were terrible.
the ball was in their own territory. How do they describe that in soccer?
Defensive territory?
Yeah, they were basically on defense for what felt like most of the entire second half.
With a man advantage.
With a man advantage.
What are we doing, Timbers? You got to be playing aggressive on the attack.
And so them scoring didn't stun me, although it was such a stupid way to give up a goal.
That was pretty stupid.
Right off the chest, rebound, boom.
I got it. No, you don't.
And I'm going to give you one more take. Being on the field's probably awesome. That club, it seems like it's an upper echelon of club experience than what we got. We got a nice club experience. But Sukanik probably had more food options and beverage options.
Probably did.
I'll give you a take. I think we had better seats.
You want to be a little bit higher up? You like seeing a little more action?
I told Chuck this. There's some sporting events that it's actually better to be up.
Yeah, you don't want to be right on the glass or right on the floor.
Yeah.
Basketball is the one outlier where you're close. The floor's small.
I want my feet on the court.
It's great. But when you're the soccer field's big.
Yeah.
So if you're down low and they're on the other side, it's like sitting in the front row at a football game behind the end zone.
You can't quite see the play formulating the way you can if you're a little up.
If they're going the other direction, you got no clue what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
You're 100 yards away from everybody, and you're just trying to figure out watch the man's play football.
So, what would we rate the soccer experience?
I'll give it are we going a 1 through 10 scale?
Yeah, do 1 through 10.
1 through 10 scale?
Take everything into account, all of it.
Everything into account, I'll give it a 7.2.
There you go. That's pretty good.
7.2.
Considering it was kind of a crappy game.
I do have beef, and I don't know if the Blazers do this anymore. The whole club level thing,
it was a little overrated.
Incredibly overrated.
Like, here's a hot dog, and everything else is $30.
Now, I did pound some hot dogs. You give me free hot dogs, I'm going to eat.
I didn't
free
end up
hot
eating
dogs.
one.
You didn't end up eating
I mean, I had 90% of a pizza.
I had a couple of raw
10
dogs.
barrel.
We were doing good. Appreciate the hot dogs. Outside of that,
nothing.
They have bottles of water for free.
Ugh.
And they had
but the bad bottles of water.
Not the good bottles of water.
Not the ones you want to buy.
And they had 4 little you twist the knob and little snacks come out into a bowl, and it was like M&Ms
and jelly beans.
Yeah, like some sort of Cajun mix. It's like That was my beef. That was when I'm going in, I'm not expecting everything to be free.
But club is like licorice rope and some candy
give me some options here, dude.
Options
not to mention the fact that I walk up to the bar.
nacho.
I'm at a soccer game. My cousin's a big big soccer guy. He tells me, go get drunk and yell at the other team. I'm like, all right, I'm on a mission. Let's do this. And I walk in and I order my first beer, and it's $15.
You got a couple of those.
And I'm just like, what are we doing? You know? I mean, I'm at a soccer game. I'm not going to not.
How cross-faded were you by the 8th minute of the game?
I dialed it back as the game went on, so I was okay.
Sure. I know by the end of it.
By the
you
end of
were
the
good.
game, I was fine.
But at the beginning of it, because we went to
I was
10
feeling pretty good. I
barrel
probably peaked in like the 30th minute, about the 35th
and then
minute.
you come down.
And then I didn't have anything the rest of the game. And then by the end of the game, I just wanted to go to sleep. I'm just like sitting in my chair. It's cold. It's
I
late.
was too. I was like,
now I got
damn
to
it.
walk home. I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd like to go to bed now, please.
Sounds awful, but I kept calculating. I'm like, 15 minutes,
All right,
probably
15
plus
minutes.
5 minutes stoppage time. 20 minutes. Come on.
San Jose's just holding the ball in stoppage time. They got their tying goal. Let's just kick it around and have fun for the final 4 minutes of the game.
Oh, man.
Boo, San Jose. But ultimately, it was good to pop the cherry and good go to a soccer game.
Shout out, Chuck. Shout out the Timbers. Don't shout out the Timbers goalie or their defense. It was terrible. We got a loaded show. There's a lot to get to today. We got the NBA. We got golf. We got baseball. We got college baseball. We got trades going on. College football. A packed edition of Dirt and Sprague. And we get it going next on The Fan. All right, I think I got the list here. Our top 4 athletes that smell the worst while performing, playing. Football players, hockey players, race car drivers, or wrestlers.
Yeah, wrestlers was a good listener submission.
That's a great one.
Wrestlers stink.
Yeah.
The mats stink. It all stinks. You're in the gym. It's hot.
Their ears turn into
They
cauliflower.
got cauliflower ear
I don't know
going
what
on.
that is or why that happens.
It's a
but,
fungi. I think that's how Last of Us got started.
I'll tell you right now, when I see a dude, I don't know about you. I don't know about Will.
Yeah.
If I see a dude with a cauliflower ear, there is not a scenario that exists that will get me to actually engage physically with them. You could do anything, and I would grab everybody I love and just walk away with my tail between my legs.
Come up and slap you in the face. You're like, all right, thank you. I'll see you later. You have a great day.
Hey, that woman you're with. Yep, we'll see you later, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to scurry out the front door right now. I'm not touching that cauliflower.
If you see a person with cauliflower ear, don't.
Run the other way.
They will mess you up,
Yeah.
man.
Run the other way
They will
immediately.
mess you up.
Especially if you're us and you have
Oh,
no
man.
physical combat skills whatsoever.
damn.
Just get out. Abort.
You know they want to grab at your knee,
Oh.
your shin, your ankle, and they're going to take you down
You're
and they're
getting
going to put
locked
you in a
up.
hold.
Did I see? I'm not a UFC guy. I'm not a big fight guy, but I feel like I saw a highlight this weekend of a guy who got locked up in like some sort of armbar leg lock. He's
Yes.
like, getting choked out, and he tickled the guy's foot to get out of it. Did I see that highlight?
Yeah,
Okay.
you saw that
was
highlight.
a thing
I
that
watched
happened?
that.
I
That
would
fight was
absolutely do
awesome.
Dude,
that.
what a great, brilliant move! Like,
Did
yeah,
it
I'm in
work?
this. I think it worked.
He
I think
tickled him
I don't know
out
if he
of it,
ended up
huh?
winning the fight or not, but I think he got out of the lock.
He
was,
got out of it, if I remember correctly. Now this
he was
leads.
like,
This
tickle
leads
the
to
bottom
my.
of the foot. The guy's like, God, stop it, stop it.
So here's my question: like, can you then like pick someone's nose, or can you like
I think it's-
pick someone's ear, wet willy someone? Will that help
Ooh.
you get out?
I
Is
think
that
a-
illegal?
The wet willy's probably hard to execute in that time.
A wet willy wouldn't get me to break.
No,
It's just gross.
it is gross.
It wouldn't. But like if I'm,
I
if I
bet
had
you if
you
I
in a
came
hold,
in there and I wet willied you right now, it would throw off your
or
game.
if I had you somehow in
middle
a
of a
hold,
segment. I kind of want you to sneak in and do that at some point. Act like you're bringing in a piece of paper or read and just give him a wet willy.
But if I actually had you in some kind of like you're pinned, I'm on the back, I got you in like a headlock situation, we're fighting. A wet willy's not breaking that.
I feel like
I'm on a mission at that point.
Makes me angrier. Makes me
Yeah.
hold on to it tighter.
You
yeah.
would think the tickle wouldn't do that then
No,
too.
Yeah,
tickle,
tickle's different.
you can't physically control a tickle.
Yeah.
If you're ticklish, that foot tickle's bad, man.
Especially the feet too.
I'd argue the foot tickle, if you're ticklish, is the most ticklish spot.
Yes, bottom of the foot. If you
Yes.
got a ticklish bone down there, that's not fun to deal with
No,
if you're a
it's not.
ticklish guy. And evidently, this UFC fighter was a ticklish guy.
So the poll question is up. Wrestler winning the poll question early. Nice little weekend for JJ Spawn.
JJ Spawn.
Who saw that coming? 151 odds for JJ Spawn going into the U.S. Open.
Yeah, good payday if you saw it coming.
And, it wasn't the greatest of tournaments. I don't know where everybody's eyeballs were throughout the weekend on it, but just absolute carnage at Oakmont. And JJ Spawn put himself in a spot where if he didn't bogey 18, he was going to win the U.S. Open. And not only did he not bogey, this was him on his birdie putt.
Don't need to make it. 2 putts.
Look, it's not going to be a talked about tournament in the history of the sport.
In
but-
the annals of golf.
Yeah. That's an all-time
That was badass.
walk-off putt in the sport's history, though.
For a dud of a tournament, that was an incredible way to end it. It was funny yesterday, for those who weren't watching, there was a long weather delay, and so it delayed everything. If you were into golf, you're like, all right, great, now I got to sit around for an hour and a half, wait till they figure out when to play this thing. But some really funny memes were created of people who were taking naps during the final round of the U.S. Open on Father's Day. Because what they did was they ended up showing highlights of the third round of the 2009 or 2008, whatever year Tiger won on the broken leg.
Against Rocco
Yeah,
Mediate?
Torrey Pines. That's what they were showing. And so there's a lot of funny memes out there of like dads waking up from their Father's Day nap, like, wait a minute, Tiger's in the lead? What?
Thinking
He's
you're
playing?
still asleep? What
Ah,
year is it?
I'm so confused right now. So when you get the weather delay, that sucks. And when they came back, the course was like legitimately unplayable, unless her name was JJ Spawn. Basically, everybody else limped to the finish line. There was standing water everywhere. Controversy abounded. And it was JJ Spawn who had 4 birdies in his last 7 holes. He got off to such a horrific start. He had a break on the second hole.
Is that the flag stick?
Where you hit the flag
man,
stick,
it's
like he
terrible.
bogeys the opener, and you're like, all right, that's great. I'm in the lead for the U.S. Open, and I bogey my first hole. What a great start to my day. Hole number 2, he hits a perfect approach shot. He's going to have an easy birdie look, but it hits the flag stick and ends up running like 30 yards back down in front of the green. Has to chip up. He made another bogey. He bogeyed 5 of his first 6 holes, like just sinking like a stone, and then found something as the round went on. I know that a lot of people are, we go through this in the NBA with OKC and Indiana being in the finals, and they're not these mega super teams with stars that everybody knows. And there's I think an ability as a sports fan to appreciate that of like, man, they're not usually here, or Indiana or Halliburton winning a title would be pretty wild. That's kind of J.J. Spawn. Like, this dude a year ago was close to being out of the game of golf. Like, he was that bad. He was outside of the top 125. He had missed a ton of cuts. Go look up J.J. Spawn's major history in his finishes. He had never finished top 20 in a major in his career, and he found something in his game. He knew his back was against the wall last year, and his coach told him, if you go down swinging, man. You've had a good career. You've been a PGA Tour golfer for 8 years. If it ends now, go spend some time with your family. And he just kind of changed his mindset and was like, what the hell? I got nothing to lose. And he's been an ascending golfer ever since. And watching him win was really cool.
Weird. So you tell me he basically unplugged and didn't put pressure on himself.
He did. He pulled the Brandon
Sprague.
Sprague out on the golf course. He was like, dude, if I lose my tour card, I lose my tour card. That's fine. I've had a great career. I'll go spend time with my kids. And he has been playing nothing but great golf since.
I saw Ian Furness retweet something yesterday after he had won, something about like weight loss, like from 2017 to 2021. He had dropped a ton of weight. He was really kind of
recommitted himself to his body and everything. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the journey he's overcome. How about overcoming a kid being sick? He shared this story after winning the U.S. Open.
Well, today I was running to CVS in downtown because my daughter had a stomach bug and was vomiting all night long. So I was just like, okay. Like, my wife was up at 3 a.m. and she's like, Violet's vomiting, although she can't keep anything down. And so it was kind of a rough start to the morning. I'm not blaming that on my start, but it was just kind of like it fit the mold of what was going on, the chaos. But my daughter always asks me every time Dad goes golfing, she's like, were you the winner today? And I'm just sometimes like, yeah, I was. And then she's like, well, where's my surprise? But so today she's like, you're the winner today. Like, she got to see it. Like, she didn't have to ask me. So that was a really fun moment.
That's a great story because every man in America has been in a situation where they have to go into work after being up since 2 a.m. and they're just sleep deprived and they're delirious and they're feeling crazy. But sometimes you end up having your best days at work. J.J. Spawn, all-time best. Voice does not match how you look.
Does not.
Situation.
Does not match at all.
I would have never guessed that's what he sounded like.
Yeah, he seems like he's going to have a little bit of a lower voice.
I have a deeper voice
kind
for
of a
J.J.
bigger.
Spawn.
It looks like a little bit of a bigger guy, a little burly,
Yep.
and you kind of picture low baritone.
I was out there and I hit some good shots, and I was really happy with myself. Drain that birdie putt on 18.
My daughter was throwing up all night. What?
Yeah, there's a bit of a Halliburton vibe there. You're just like, what? That's what you sound like? J.J. Spawn? Okay, I didn't really see that coming for the people who have never seen him do an interview. There was another report that came out a couple of years ago. There was a writer for Golf Digest who was working on a story at a local Scottsdale municipal public course, and he walked out to the course and he saw J.J. Spawn on the driving range, and he was like, what? Like, just imagine going to like Heron Lakes and there's, insert PGA Tour golfer that's out there working on his game. And he said, I asked him, why are you here? And he basically was like, I love going out and working out at public courses because it reminds me of where I came from and it keeps me humble. And he just goes to local random municipal ranges to work on his game from time to time.
Imagine just seeing J.J. Spawn
next to an 18 handicap. There's a guy who won the U.S. Open. No big deal.
There you go. J.J. Spawn wins the U.S. Open, his first major championship. Hell of a moment for him, man.
That was cool. It was a cool moment for him.
All right, coming up next, we had a trade. Some suggest biggest trade of the weekend, and it hits home. I'll tell you how next on The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Sports Center is brought to you by Big's Chicken. Try their smoked and fried wings, tossed with the perfect dry rub and served with a killer trio of sauces. Menus at bigschicken.com. First on The Fan, a couple of big trades in the sports world. We're going to start off in the MLB first. The Red Sox traded three-time All-Star Rafael Devers to the Giants for 4 players, including pitchers Kyle Harrison and Jordan Hicks. The Giants will cover the remainder of Devers' contract that he signed less than 2 years ago with Boston. In the NBA, the big trade was the Grizzlies sending Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for KCP, Cole Anthony, 4 first-round picks, and 1 pick swap. Wow. Bane now joins Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Jalen Suggs as the big four with the Magic. JJ Spawn won the U.S. Open after a rough start and weather delay. Spawn finished with a -1 for the tournament. He was the only golfer to finish under par. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The original home of the herd with
A lot to get to today. It's a busy show. We still haven't talked about the championships going on in the sports.
No, we have not.
We've got a tied NBA Finals going back to Oklahoma City.
We do. Blue Line Brandon went to 5 for 5 for the series so far.
I don't think you're gonna like 6 for 6.
That's all right. You're gonna go Ice Cats. I got a feeling you're gonna go Ice Cats at home to close it out. That's okay.
Just it's a vibe. Marchand's obviously gonna be the MVP of this Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Thanks, Boston. As if Boston sports weren't bad enough, they gave us a rat on a team full of rats who's been dominant in their playoff run.
Well, you say thanks, Boston. I think it's because you're a San Francisco Giant fan, and yesterday Boston gave you Rafael Devers in exchange for Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, and James Tibbs, and a minor league pitcher named Jose Bello. The Giants are going to absorb the $250 million left on this contract from Rafael Devers.
You're damn right we are.
And Devers, who came into the year hating the Red Sox because the Red Sox went and got Bregman, and so it was like, he's going to play third. And he's like, I only want to play third. And they're like, what if you play first? He's like, I hate first. He's actually swung the bat really well. He's hitting 272. But enough. They had reached their point, I guess, in Boston with him. And another star in Boston that they've moved on from. I saw many people pointing out what they've had in return for their stars that they've moved, and it's not a whole lot.
No, they've now helped out the NL West rivalry, though, with Mookie Betts going to the Dodgers and Rafael Devers going to the Giants.
And Buster Posey's basically running the San Francisco Giants now, and he is all in. He went and got Rafael Devers for a bunch of players that nobody, unless you're a Giants fan, had heard of. Can we be honest? Can we be honest?
You never heard of Jordan Hicks before? That's a name that I thought some random baseball fans will know. Jordan Hicks have been around. He's been a relief pitcher. He's a closer for the Cardinals for a while.
Maybe somebody I would have recognized.
Yeah. You would recognize him if you saw him. Kyle Harrison, you would have no idea who he is if you're not a Giants fan.
Now, they optioned one of these guys to AAA as soon as they got
Kyle
him.
Harrison, they did. He's been in the minors for most of the year for the Giants. He's one of their better pitching prospects, though. He broke in last year. Like, he was the prized piece of the trade, probably because I never heard of the other two minor leaguers, and I follow it relatively closely.
Boston got a C grade on ESPN's trade grade, and the Giants got an A-.
So the part of this is, for Boston, they screwed this up. Why they decided to sign a third baseman in free agency without talking to the guy who was the face of their franchise is kind of a weird move. Then it was a new GM basically saying, we want to move in positions, and then Devers at the start of the year. Like, we did segments on Rafael Devers at the start of the year because he kind of went George Costanza, fat bodysuit guy. Like, he wasn't trying.
Yeah.
He wasn't swinging at
He
pitches.
was really upset with him.
They told him that they wanted him to play first base. He said he didn't want to play first base. Nobody communicated this with me. The last GM told me I was going to be a third baseman for this contract. And so they kind of created this weird problem on their hands that they didn't really have to. And so it ultimately felt like it was going to lead to this. A lot of the intel from Boston has said that he basically sat him down and was like, look, if you don't want me here, trade me. And they said, okay. And then this trade popped up, and it sounds like they've been talking for a couple of weeks. I was shocked that that's all it took to get him. It is a lot of money left on his contract. And now the problem that the Giants are going to have is a bit of the same problem that the Boston Red Sox has, and that is, where are you going to play him? Because they got Matt Chapman, who might be the best defensive third baseman in all of baseball. So you're not taking Matt Chapman away from third base. They do need a first baseman. Is he okay playing first base with a new team? Is he okay just being a DH? Like, they're going to have a little bit of that conundrum on their hands. I think they're hoping fresh start, showing that they want him, that he's going to be more willing and open. He's got friends on the team. Willie Adames is a big friend of his for like 10 years. And so I think they're hoping the messaging gets through when he plays first base. But this was awesome to see. My team hasn't made a lot of these big trades in a while, and this is one that is a guy who's under contract for like the next 8 or 9 years. So a lot of times you get these deals in baseball, and it's an expiring deal, and then they hit free agency, and you're like, damn it, we gave up prospects for 4 months of a player. This guy's under contract for basically the next decade, so I was pretty pumped yesterday.
Will and I do a gambling show on Sundays, and our producer's a big baseball guy, and I think he likes the NBA, but he had kind of teed up. He told me about this trade because I wasn't on the internet. I was cleaning my house.
My brother-in-law texted me. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I had to go look. I'm like, whoa.
What?
But our producer basically was like, oh, who would have thought? The biggest trade of the weekend's from baseball, not the NBA.
It's a bigger trade than what happened in the NBA.
Oh, see, I disagreed. I actually disagreed very passionately. Devers is a good player. I'm not refuting that.
Who's better, Rafael Devers or Desmond Bain?
Well, so I said this. Tell me if you think I'm wrong here, okay? Because you're probably going to argue Devers is, and I can't really argue.
Has Desmond Bain ever been an all-star?
No.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think they're about the same in name recognition for sports fans.
Oh, really? Hard disagree there.
Well, what do you think the crossover percentage is of basketball and baseball fan? I don't think it's very high.
It's not very high.
So if you're in the baseball world, Devers is clearly the bigger name. If you're a basketball bro, I think Bain is looked at as a very good player.
I don't think you're wrong there.
So I think the general sports fan, I think they're kind of the same thing. Like you say the name and you're like, I know that name, but you got to think for a second. And some may more know Devers because he was a Red Sox, and it means a little more to be a Red Sox
than a Memphis Grizzly.
Yeah, than a Memphis Grizzly.
Carries a little more weight.
And we'll get to the Bain trade. I just think basketball trades, guys like him, far more impact immediate success for teams. And I think Devers is a good piece for your Giants.
Yeah.
But your Giants will succeed if their bullpen doesn't choke and their starting pitching's good.
Hey, we got a good bullpen, man.
Okay.
We got a good bullpen.
I wouldn't know anything about your pitching staff. I haven't watched much Giants outside of a Braves series.
Well, you better now. We mean business. We're all in, baby.
My point is Devers could continue to be a stud in a unit for the Giants.
Sure.
But if their pitching chokes, it's not going to matter all that much. Whereas
Well,
Bain
one player
goes
in
and
basketball,
produces.
can have a bigger impact. Orlando's not doing anything with that lineup, by the way, in the Eastern Conference next year. Desmond Bain's a really good player. We'll see you later in the second round. Orlando. There's my hot take on that trade. We'll get to it later.
Getting ahead of you, just poo-pooing that trade.
I do think it's a little offensive to Rafael Devers, San Francisco Giant legend, to compare him to Desmond Bain. I see the point on name recognition. I do think you got some solid ground there. I think what carries it here is that you have a guy who has played, I want to say, in 4 straight All-Star games, and he's a Boston Red Sox.
No, the Red Sox
and that's a
certainly
big
helps.
deal.
Yes.
He was the face of the Red Sox. He was the guy that they pivoted to after trading Mookie Betts. That was supposed to be the next franchise player who was going to be there forever. And so Desmond Bain's a really good player, and you can definitely have a bigger impact as one guy in the NBA. Like, even if Devers is great, but the rest of the lineup sucks, the Giants aren't going to go anywhere. So that's the difference in baseball that you learn repetitively year after year by different teams who have star players who are great, but there's nothing else really around them. But I do think Devers is a bigger deal than Desmond Bain, just because of the team that he got traded for. They're one of the most talked about and discussed and recognizable sports franchises in the world.
The Magic, yeah.
And this is a really weird scenario where, like, Devers legitimately was the number one fan favorite in Boston. He is their guy. They love him there. And they completely railroaded him this offseason by signing somebody else to play this position.
But then what's weird about that? I don't want to interrupt you, but I do want to just note, having follow a couple people and doing a show with a Boston-based person, it's interesting following that because he was, or maybe still is for a lot. The spring training thing was so weird for people.
Well, people end up taking the side of the team,
I
even
think
though
it
the player
split him
was
a little
completely
bit
right.
on him a little bit, even though he was like, "Yo, I've been here." Like,
this was you signed me to play third base. And
why
then
did you
just
sign somebody?
Signed somebody else to play my position. It's a good poll question. I do think the Desmond Bain trade had a bigger impact on us locally because of the ramifications that might come from a certain guard not getting traded to Orlando.
I'm doing a poll question on that right now.
What was the bigger trade over the weekend?
I'm doing it's a Simon's poll question. I'll put that one on there though. We'll do some poll questions today. I'll do what was the bigger trade?
Yeah, Desmond Bain, very good player, but I think I would say Rafael Devers, a bigger deal.
A better player for sure.
A better player.
Yeah, I won't disagree with you there.
4-time All-Star.
I just think you and I and every other sports fan that likes to watch all of it, and obviously football is the number one.
Yeah.
I think we've all kind of come to just say, if it doesn't involve pigskin and a helmet with like a certain logo of one of 30.
There'll be a lot of people who are like, I don't care, whatever.
Exactly.
I don't give a man.
Yeah.
Get a lot of that.
More likely, like, I don't know, man, Jason Kelce retired. Kind of a big deal. Oh, okay.
Let's talk about the Seahawks offensive line. Do you trust him this year with Sam Darnold?
Oh, you should have heard it yesterday. Will dropped a Luke Kuechly could kiss my ass.
Whoa.
He can.
Whoa. How dare you?
He said Bobby
he
Wagner's
kick it,
better
too.
all time than Luke Kuechly.
He is.
Oh, buddy.
No, you're wrong. He is. He is.
Who's your favorite team?
Shut up.
I mean, he's a better compiler.
Who has more?
he's still
Oh,
playing.
you're going
He's still
to punish
playing.
him for being healthy?
No.
No,
Taking
I'm
care
not
of his
punishing him.
I
At
think
the
he's
highest
great.
level, though, Luke Kuechly was the better linebacker. At the
More-
peak of their powers.
Who has
peak
more?
of their
Who has more
powers.
all pros? Who has more Pro Bowls?
How many
Who
more
has
years has he
Hey,
more
do
played?
you know the
tackles?
answers to these
Oh,
questions?
God.
Have you
Huh?
looked these up?
I don't have to. I know because Luke Kuechly was always hurt.
I don't think he was always hurt.
I'll go look at his
He
reference.
retired early.
Yeah.
I know that.
Bobby Wagner's better, man.
Luke Kuechly never played fewer than 10 games in a season, and only one time did he play fewer than 13 games in a season.
Who's got more All Pros? Who has more All Pros?
The All Pros, Pro Bowls, get out of here. All Pros, I'll give you some. Yeah, that matters a little bit.
Now I'm on it.
I'm kind of curious.
I'm on a tour to prove this wrong.
He just
You're
randomly
trying to
dropped this
attack my
yesterday.
kiss my ass, Luke Kuechly?
I am a little bit.
I don't think
I think Luke
deserves for you
Kuechly.
to say that.
Are we going just first team All Pro or All Pro in general?
All Pro in general.
I was going to say,
But who has more first teams?
Who has more first
it might
teams?
be. I think it's Bobby. Bobby was had a run where it was 7 or 8 years.
Bobby was
of
a great player.
They both
first
have 6
team
first team
All-Pro.
All Pros.
There you go. They're tied.
There we go.
Kuechly has 2, and then but Kuechly only played for 8 years.
I mean, help
Bobby
as well.
Wagner's
See,
already
this
been
is-
in the league for 13
See,
years.
but again,
That's
this is
pretty
like
impressive as a linebacker.
This
That's
is
wild,
The,
yeah.
This is the artist thing, though. Like, as long as an artist is alive, their paintings or their sculptures don't cost that much.
They're
but
better
the minute
dead, is
that
what
they
you're saying.
die, all of a sudden everything gets more grandiose. So because Luke Kuechly's career ended earlier because he again had a bunch of injuries.
I mean, he was a better player. At the peak
Now,
of his
Bobby-
powers, he's a better player.
Disagree.
He was a better player.
I
He's a
disagree.
better linebacker.
Bobby Wagner has more All
Do a
Pros.
poll question on that as well. We'll
you
do
put
the,
Luke Kuechly on the Legion of Boom.
Oh my god.
I'm going help here. I'm going NBA argument. This is Luke Kuechly played for the Carolina Panthers.
Hold on, can I interrupt you?
More Super Bowls.
I don't think
by the
we
way,
need to
Bobby
do
Wagner.
that.
He does have more Super Bowls.
Bobby Wagner did help the Legion of Boom win a Super Bowl. I don't know if you can get better than winning a Super Bowl.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you gave Luke Kuechly that defense around him,
Oh yeah, he's got a
how
ring.
much better could he
But he
have
was
been?
also on a Super Bowl team with Cam Newton.
They made it to the Super Bowl in his time there.
Yeah.
And then
Couldn't
they
get it done.
And then they disappeared.
Couldn't get it done.
Wasn't
Hey,
really
guess
the
what?
defense's fault.
Here's the
More
thing.
the offensive line.
Well,
Now we're
no.
going Super Bowl counts for linebackers?
No,
What are we
disagree.
doing?
Disagree.
Rings
Guess
What's
culture,
what?
happening
baby.
right now?
Rings.
It's
It's
the
Monday.
same-
It's supposed to be a Raphael Devers segment.
They both
you guys
played
are
the
just
same
peeing in my
team.
Cheerios this morning.
They both played the same team.
Look out
They
for my
both
Giants,
played
bitch.
the
I'm coming
Peyton
for you, all
Manning
right?
Denver Broncos, and who won and who lost.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you there. I
Hot
just,
take.
give-
I mean, Bobby
yeah,
Wagner's
we
a
know.
stud. The fact that he's still playing is remarkable.
Luke Kuechly,
I love
kiss
Bobby
my
Wagner.
ass was not warranted. Is all my point was.
No.
I can't
Do you
believe
think he's
we're
better than
talking
Patrick
about-
Willis, too?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, God.
You think Bobby Wagner's better than Patrick Willis?
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look.
Oh, dude,
I
Go
just-
back and
I
look.
don't. I
I'd have
watched
One of
it.
the best linebackers in the history of the
He
NFL.
who
who also retired early.
He
Are
just
you-
well, he just up and left. He
He
decided
just-
not to get hurt.
Well,
was
he didn't
out.
want to deal with it
But
anymore.
Kuechly was the same way, dude. He had concussions. If you had one more, it's like you're a vegetable for the rest of your life.
Learn how to tackle better.
I don't think that's a okay.
That's not
I don't
it at
think
all.
Rock roll,
that's
baby.
taking
But
concussions.
no.
All right. So Devers is now a giant. Dirt is ecstatic. It may give him a leg up. Posey going all in, man. He's
I
saying,
love it,
I
dude.
want to win.
We got a guy with baseball balls that's running the team. Not one of these analytical nerds anymore.
Yeah.
Who's like making moves on the margin.
Give you the win percentage of a left-handed batter against a right-handed. We're
The
going to
Giants have
rotate
been
it.
down a little bit,
Dude,
man.
we got ball players. Let's go, baby. I love
We got a lot to get to. It is 6:49. Jeez, Will, shut up. It's 6:49. We're back with more on the Fan.
It's back.
What's the state of American sports? We're debating linebackers during the break.
How many All-Pros has he got? How many All-Pros? He didn't win a Super Bowl.
We will get to the big NBA trade, the NBA Finals. Of course, the Finals is going on, and a big trade happens, and it's like, well, the trade's happening, so we need to talk about the trade.
And of course, it wasn't our team that made a trade for a player at the same position for a team that we've been linked with forever.
I mean, we have been linked
right
with them
there.
forever.
Can we? Hello, we're over here. Do something.
We will talk with Philip Rossman Reich coming up at 6:30. He covers the Magic for the Locked On Magic podcast. He has mentioned Anthony Simons many a time as a player that, his team might go trade for.
Did you know he's from Orlando?
I did.
Did you know that?
And bye-bye.
Not happening.
That ain't happening no more.
Nope.
Scratch that team off.
Cross them off the list.
We put a poll question up at Dirt and Sprague. We're going to have a few poll questions today, so don't worry. You can go vote. With the news of Orlando trading for Desmond Bain, what do you think will happen with Anthony Simons in Portland? He'll be extended or he'll be traded. Those are your two options right now. He'll be extended, which would be the Brandon Sprague opinion from about 2 months ago.
We're going to extend him, and we're going to draft a point guard at number 11.
Where Sprague was right.
That's exactly what's going to happen. And they're going to be like, don't worry. We'll figure this out down the road. We just gave one of our point guards an extension. One of them is extension eligible. The other one's going into year 3. And then we're going to draft a guy at number 11 that plays the same position.
We need to get to the Beaver baseball. My team got obliterated, and I was kind of like, I really like that other team.
Dude, the Chanticleers mean business right now.
They're an easy, rootable team.
Yeah,
they remind me of the 06-07 Beavers, like the new kid on the scene, and it's like, damn, they're really good.
I haven't looked at the other side of the bracket. Has Murray State won at all?
Murray State lost.
Are they like
I
out?
don't know if they're out, but I know they
Okay.
lost their first game.
Because at this point, I am kind of rooting for a Coastal Carolina Murray State national title game.
Coastal Carolina could definitely get there.
That'd be pretty
25
badass.
straight wins, man.
They're remarkable right now.
So we'll get to that. We've got college football realignment news that came out yesterday. Everybody's favorite topic. The NBA Finals is going to Game 5. We go to Orlando for the ticker. It's a loaded second hour. Dirt and Sprague, Hour 2 on the Odyssey app, the Fan, the HD, and the YouTube.
Texting enrolls you in
Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2. Dirt and Sprague here on 1080 The Fan, the Odyssey app, 99.5 HD2, and, of course, the YouTubes, youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan is where you can find us. We have a loaded second hour. We're going to go to Orlando for the ticker today.
Orlando.
We'll tell you why in just a minute. It's fairly obvious why. There was a big NBA trade, although how big is up for debate. Dirt says, meh. I say, whoa. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. Oregon State baseball.
You pissed off some Beaver fans in the last segment.
What do you mean? What did I do?
Well, you said that first off, you said Coastal Carolina came out of nowhere. They won a national title in 2016.
Touche.
I did not know.
I'll walk that back.
It's good to know now. And
you know, when Oregon State's not winning it, I don't pay attention.
Neither do I. And then also that they didn't get obliterated. They beat themselves. They had 4 unearned runs on airs. That's not normal. So
I mean,
they
I'll
didn't
give
get
you that.
obliterated. They kicked themselves.
Okay.
And shot themselves in the foot. That's not getting obliterated.
Do you have the stats of the game up? What was Coastal Carolina's pitching line? Their starting pitcher was unreal.
That guy's pretty good.
He was really good. Now, Beavers did shoot themselves in the foot. That first inning was a disaster zone. You know, Beaver baseball, that's the area that will piss Oregon State fan off the most if you say anything controversial.
They kind of kicked the ball around in game 1, too, and they blew the lead in the 9th inning.
They have the most errors of any team in the College World Series right now. Oregon
They
State.
actually out-hit Coastal Carolina 7-5 in the game.
What was I'm talking about the pitcher's total stat line.
Oh, he was great. They had a graphic of him and Paul Skeens next to each other. 7 2/3, 5 hits, 1 run, 7 Ks.
That's a good outing, dude.
Guy's
That's
12-0 with a
outing.
1.82 ERA.
Yeah, and the Beaver bats got going late, and they couldn't come up with the hit when they needed to the most. Turley was awesome again.
He was.
I will walk back the Coastal Carolina comment. They just feel like a out of nowhere team.
That would have been a great trivia question of, has Coastal Carolina ever won a national championship in college baseball, and what the votes would have been on that?
Hey, I'm not sitting here acting like I'm Mr. College Baseball know-it-all. I'm sorry I didn't know that. Thank you for correcting the record.
How dare you not remember the 2016 College World Series?
As a likable Coastal Carolina team.
Also, the same year, I think LeBron was coming back from a 3-1 deficit at the same time.
I definitely wasn't watching then.
We were a little more plugged in. That was a pretty big moment in sports.
I did like their manager. He called out Florida's guy this year. That was fun.
That was pretty cool. And famously, their coach said they need more dogs.
They need more dogs.
Not this coach,
Football
different coach, different sport. Not there anymore, but still a funny line.
So we'll get to the Beavers. Well, we kind of just did there, but we'll get to it a little more, I guess. I'm sorry. Pac-12 realignment news.
Hey!
A team that we all kind of thought was eventually going to be here, and turns out the tease that there was on social media was a real tease, and now it seems like it's going to happen.
Seems like it's going to happen.
So we'll get into that. We got the NBA Finals Game 5 going back to Oklahoma City. But, Dirt, we've delayed enough. We must talk about the big trade. The massive trade.
We already talked about Rafael Devers. What trade are you talking about?
I'd argue a bigger trade. As bad a take as that
Muscle
may be.
hamster getting dealt? Is that what you're telling me?
You feel like you and I take turns like giving bad takes on different shows. I feel
Oh,
like
all
we
the
do
time.
that.
All the time.
I feel like you have a take, and I'm like, that's stupid.
That's just
And then
a
I
bad
give a
take.
take, and you're like, that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, Desmond Bane's a good player, but I'm a little I don't disagree with the sport impact because one guy can have a bigger impact. But, like, Rafael Devers is one of the best third basemen in all of baseball.
Not according to the Red Sox. The Orlando Magic have made a trade with the Memphis Grizzlies. The Magic will get Desmond Bane. The Grizzlies, in return, will get Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Thank you for signing. See you later. You did nothing for us. Cole Anthony, who's been a good role guy for them since they drafted him. The number 16 pick in this year's draft. The 2026 first pick, which is Phoenix, via Phoenix. 2028 first-round pick. 2029 first-round pick swap. And a 2030 first-round pick. 4 picks.
4 first-round picks.
Well, pick swap, 5 total with the pick swap, Cole Anthony and KCP. And in return, Orlando gets Desmond Bane. We'll never forget. Where were you when you found out Desmond Bane was a Magic?
I kind of sat down and started crying because it made me realize that another trade can't happen that I've been praying to happen for the last couple of years, and it's clearly out the window now. And once my emotions settled on the tears over that, I then turned to laughter of the idea of trading 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane.
Why?
Desmond Bane.
Yeah?
4 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Like
The Phoenix pick is That's a good pick.
That's
2026 could be a good pick.
That's a really good
If
pick.
Phoenix blows it up, that
Which
could be a good pick.
Kevin Durant's going to get traded any second now. Check your calendar; it's going to happen any moment.
Yep.
They're going to be left with one player left. Bradley Beal's not going to go anywhere, and he's going to go down with a ship there in Phoenix.
So you care about the 2028 or the 2030?
I mean, just 4 first-round picks in general for Desmond. Desmond Bane's a good player.
Mikal Bridges went for 5.
It doesn't mean that it was a good trade.
I mean, the Knicks got to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Look, I'm not saying anything there, but now they've hamstrung themselves to not have any capital this offseason to do what?
What do you mean?
Are the Knicks going to be able to make any big trades this offseason?
I don't know what the Knicks are going to do. They don't have a coach.
They don't have a coach, and they can't talk
They
to
need
a
to
coach
solve that
currently.
problem first.
They keep getting linked to different guys. It's like, dude, you traded all of your picks for Mikal Bridges. You don't have any picks left anymore.
Hey, you could trade your players.
You could trade your players. Okay, so the guy you traded a ton for last offseason and Karl Anthony Towns, you're going to deal him now and just spin him off in the next offseason? Look, Desmond Bane is a good player. I don't want to be disrespectful to the muscle hamster of the NBA. 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane is absurd. It's absurd.
Why is it absurd?
He's a good player. I don't know if he's a number 2 on a championship team. And
I'm
I don't
not asking him to be a number 2.
I don't even know if they have
number 3 on this team.
Who's your number 2?
Franz or Paolo, depending on how you feel about him.
Okay, so is Franz or Paolo a number 1 and a number 2?
According to the Orlando Magic, they are. They extended Franz with the $200 million deal, and Paolo Banchero is obviously going to be a guy they're going to extend and give him the max.
Without a doubt.
So, yes, I would say Orlando views that as, yes, that's their 1-2. However they sort that, I don't know. I would lean it's probably Paolo, Franz. But on any given night, Franz can be a 1 and Paolo could be a 2.
This is a 41-41 team in a bad Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they had no offense.
They had no offense.
Their offense completely disappeared. It didn't exist. They played good defense. The problem with Orlando is their three-point shooting. They were one of the worst three-point shooting teams. They ranked last in three-point percentage last year.
That's really bad.
Desmond Bane shoots 41%.
There you go.
He ranks 3rd in the NBA since he got into the league in catch and shoot threes. I would imagine Franz and Paolo will be having the ball, driving and kicking to Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane.
Knock down those shots.
Knocking down those threes.
I'm a little surprised because so the pick thing is interesting because I think we all have had to evolve our thinking on this. And I think national pundits and local pundits alike have had to do that. It does look like a lot for a non-all-star player.
Never been an all-star. Never will be an all-star.
I'm not going to say never will be.
He's not
I have no idea. What I would say is, are you best to operate in trying to capitalize on young talent that you have now, or say, oh, but we can't lose our pick from 5 years from now? Because I don't care about a 2031st.
Sure, it's not just that one. It's the 3 other ones that they included and the 4th.
I don't care about my 2029 first-round swap. I don't care about if I'm building this team in that conference, I don't care about my 2028. It's probably going to be a 20th pick or later.
Sure.
And the only valuable one, really, outside of having this year's 16th pick, if you value that, is next year's Phoenix pick, which that may prove to be a good pick. I'll give you that. But you got to trade some good stuff to get a good player.
This is all going under the idea that Banchero will remain happy and they're going to go on playoff runs and you'll never get to the point where he is a star once out of Orlando. Because that's part of it as well.
But we don't have any intel that that's the deal. If they pay him the max contract, he'll be a $300 million player. I think everybody will be happy in Orlando for $300 million.
Sure, if you're winning in the playoffs.
Yeah, but look, so this would be my perspective on it, because I hear what you're saying.
Where do you put Orlando in the pantheon of the Eastern Conference after this trade? To go from a 500 team who couldn't win a first-round playoff series, adding Desmond Bane.
Are we assuming that they're healthy?
Yeah, we assume everybody's healthy.
That's the assumption,
Other
right?
than Jason Tatum's the only guy. Well, and Lillard, who we know
I put
are
him in
next year.
Detroit, Milwaukee, New York, maybe the Knicks, and next year's Boston team, and Cleveland. I mean, I kind of put him in the mix, is what I do with
like
that
as a team that could legitimately win the Eastern Conference.
I don't dismiss the idea completely.
Okay.
I think the East is... I think Indiana should come back as the favorite, is my 2 cents on this, okay? I don't know if they actually will in Vegas, but I think that team coming back after getting to back-to-back conferences and pushing the Thunder in the finals, they deserve that kind of credit. After that, I mean, Cleveland's not going anywhere, and they're going to be good again. But nobody... Do you trust Cleveland? I think people are going to go...
I trust Cleveland to be a very good regular season team. I don't trust them in the playoffs, but I
Okay.
trust them to be a very good regular season team again.
So after that, who do you trust?
I trust that the Knicks will be good. How good, I don't know. I don't really care who their coach is. I think they'll be fine.
Okay, so your read on Desmond Bane, who, by the way, is an all-time great. Looks like he's 6'2", but he's like 6'5".
Yes,
He's
much
just-
bigger than he looks.
He's just he's like built.
Also, buff guys shouldn't be able to shoot. It's kind of a weird anomaly.
Also, really good defender.
Yeah.
You know who they didn't have to put in this trade?
Who?
Jalen Suggs.
Hey, there you go.
So I think it's kind of the perfect sweet spot for Orlando. They get a good third player who's going to be very good as a ball handler, perimeter guy, and they get to pair him with another dog on defense in Jalen Suggs, who you hope stays healthy, because if he's out there, that's a good defensive team. We actually know the numbers for them. They're good defensively. Their problem was offense. And look, we can talk about this angle of it because I think it's worthy of conversation today. We assumed they were going to take our offensive bucket getter.
We did.
And they
Wouldn't
said,
have cost you 4 first-round picks,
no.
that's for sure.
And they said, no, we'd rather pay more to get that guy.
Yeah.
That should tell us something. I think Desmond Bane, I think this puts Orlando in the mix, and I'm not saying he's as good, okay? So let me get out in front of some of this stuff. This guy's a better player. In terms of impact and turnaround, I think he has an ability to add to Franz and Paolo and hold this for the old takes exposed. This could be a Brunson, New York turnaround for Orlando. I think they could suddenly burst onto the scene and have people talking about Orlando and going, oh, man, Desmond Bane was really good at basketball. We didn't know it because we didn't watch a whole lot of Memphis basketball last year because they weren't very good.
No, they haven't been good for a couple years now.
Desmond Bane's a very good basketball player.
Yes, he is.
I understand the all-star argument. Not going to argue that with you. You're right. He doesn't have one. But to pair him with those two dudes, I think this is a really good – I thought this was a really good trade for Orlando.
Yeah, I would just look at it simply that I don't disagree with the idea that I appreciate teams that are aggressive. We dealt with this a lot in Portland in the Lillard era, that they never tried to do anything, and they just kept the roster as is, and let's just, hey, next year it'll work out, and next year it'll work out, and next year it'll be different, and it never was different. Anybody with a brain could have seen year in and year out that nothing was going to change in your circumstances. I guess the issue that I have with it's not that they didn't get better. They unquestionably got better. I think it's a question of how much better did you actually get? Do you truly jump into the upper pantheon of the Eastern Conference? Because they were a 500 team this year that was in the play-in. So are you legitimately like a home court advantage team? Are you better than Detroit? Are you better than Indiana? Giannis, it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. I know Dame's going to be out, but he's still one of the best players in the league. Boston will be banged up next year, but they're still going to be relevant and still going to be good. And Cleveland's not going anywhere, and that's not even considering anybody else that is around them in the standing. So that's the first question I have. And then the second that I have is, and I think smaller market teams at times struggle with this, and it's the idea that we're so desperate to go get somebody that it becomes an overpay to a point of what is your next move? And that's a difficulty that I have with it. So you can say that we got to get used to trading all these first-round picks. I understand it. I don't know if they had any other options. I know Anthony Simons wouldn't have gone for 5 first-round picks. At least I hope Cronin's not asking for that. You just used up a huge chunk of your capital for the next 5 years to go get Desmond Bane, who is a good player. I'm not disagreeing with that. But if you're coming up short next year, and then you're maybe a second-round team and you get bounced, and you're kind of hitting your head against the ceiling, where is the ability from a asset standpoint to go get better? Because you just used a lot of your ammunition.
Okay, so I guess I have a team-building question for you because we're a small market.
We are.
You have largely criticized this franchise locally of not being aggressive. I kind of don't know what you want. I don't know what you want small market teams to do. They take swings that they think is going to change everything. We were talking about the Siakam trade, and they traded multiple firsts for that and had to pay him, and I didn't see anybody coming out and saying NBA Finals championship-worthy type team.
Yeah.
But in the moment, some people were saying, overpay.
And maybe part of it is that I just think Siakam maybe is a better player. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I put Siakam in a different category than Desmond Bane.
Well, Siakam is accomplished, more than Desmond Bane. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, I guess what I'll ask is this going into the break. One, the Portland impact of this of Anthony Simons now, is that going to be the extension that they're going to announce? Or is there a trade destination that even exists for him now? Because Orlando was the team. And the second thing I'll ask you, and listeners can chime in on this, what do you want small market teams to do? Because I feel like I'm hearing it from both sides. I feel like you're playing you're not being aggressive. And then when a small market team's aggressive, you're saying, you're being too aggressive. I don't know what you want small markets to do in the league. If I'm a Magic fan today, I'm waking up ecstatic. My team cared. My team is all in. They trust the dudes they have. And this guy is going to help in an area that specifically you need in this league. And we didn't have it last year. So we can talk about that on the other side next on The Fan. Orlando, the Magic going all in on Desmond Bane. Quickly on Tuesday, June 24th, time is running out, so you need to hurry up. Your local Toyota dealers presents the 11th Annual Fan Golf Classic at Langdon Farms, brought to you by Henderson and Daughter Windows and Doors and Philbrook Law Accident Injury Lawyers. Matt's Barbecue, Victor Rico's, both going to be on hand, both fantastic food. Foursomes can be purchased right now. Go to 1080thefan.com to purchase your foursome. Only the morning round is available. Find the Fan Golf Classic logo. Poll question is up with the news that Desmond Bane is now a Magic.
He's in Orlando.
What will the Blazers do with Anthony Simons? Because that was the rumored destination of choice and one that made sense with what Orlando needed.
Yeah.
Will they extend him or will they trade him? You can vote at Dirt and Sprague now. And I asked for the break. I've been doing a show with you for a long time.
Yeah.
I guess I'm sitting here right now, and I totally get you're not as high on Desmond Bane as maybe other people, and maybe my hand is up a little bit here. I think he's a really good player defensively. I think he's better with the ball than people give him credit, but he's been kind of second fiddle to Ja.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be a little bit of a – I hate saying this comp over and over because I'm not saying he's as good as him. I think there's going to be a little bit of a Jalen Brunson, oh, he can do that?
Yeah.
Because we haven't been able to see him do it largely in Memphis.
He hasn't really been asked to do it, to be honest.
No.
I mean, other than when John Morant's
Was
been
suspended
out.
or injured, right.
Missed a lot of time.
I don't know. I guess I'm stumped. I don't know what you want small market teams. We're a small market team. Anthony Simons was Orlando Magic destination one for everybody, including people in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Philip Rossman Reich is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. He had mentioned Anthony Simons. But, like, you want your local team to be aggressive, but then you're giving Orlando crap for small market being too aggressive. I don't know what you want small market teams to do. And I think sticker shock value is still a thing in the NBA. So
for
4
sure
firsts and a swap.
It's essentially 5 first-round picks.
Yeah, I'm calling it 5, even though it's labeled 4.
Yeah, because if you have a bad year and you have a worse pick, you're going to get swapped out there.
I don't know what you want. Because I think if you asked Minnesota, and I even think Knicks, I know they didn't win the title or the East, but I think if you ask those two fan bases, worth it? I bet you they'd say, it was a lot, but we got to back-to-back conference finals for the first time in our franchise history in Minnesota, and that was with Rudy Gobert. And New York would say, we got back to the conference finals for the first time in 25 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're bummed how it ended, but we got back to a place we hadn't been. I don't know what you want small markets to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of this boils down to just the opinion of Desmond Bane, who I think is a very good player. I do think there's absolutely a sticker shock there for me when you tell me he was traded for 5 first-round picks. He's never been an all-star in his career. He's never been asked to be a number 1 option. He's never been asked to be a number 1 scoring option. I know that's not what he's going to be asked to do in Orlando. I feel like there is a balance of being aggressive but not overpaying for something that I don't view in the short term is going to change their circumstances exponentially better from where they were before.
Okay, so your opinion is more okay, so Bane, I get your opinion on Bane, but your opinion seems more based on Paolo and Franz than Bane, and I'll explain how. You don't believe that those two have showed enough in your estimation of being a 1-2, because if they have, Bane would be a very, very good
number 3 option. Yes.
That would put them, I think, in a mix. I'm not saying they win the East. I'm not telling you it's top 3.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, as long as you're trying and having successful years, I'm not holding everybody to a championship or bust mentality. That's not the standard I'm going to hold you to. I would use this comp, an example, because it hits back to us at home. Desmond Bane is under contract for 5 more years, I believe. The last year of that deal, he's making basically $45 million a year. Now, the cap's going to keep going up, but you also got to figure out extensions because I don't think they've gotten them yet with Paolo.
Paolo hasn't been extended. Franz just got extended.
So you're going to have 3 massive contracts on your books, right? What the current CBA tells us is that's essentially all that you can afford.
It's a death sentence.
And then you need to pay basically a bunch of rookie scale contracts. So your 3 going forward financially that you were committed to are Desmond Bane, Wagner, and Paolo Banchero. And that's going to be basically it for you. And then you're going to have to figure everything else out on the cheap once the Paolo contract kicks in. I don't know what the extension will look like for him and how much money he's going to make. So that's a big unknown in this question and caveat. But if I told you, you could have traded KCP, a first-round pick, and a pick swap for Anthony Simons and had that plus an extension for him, or given up 5 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, where does that fall? Because if you're asking me from a team building standpoint, I would say, well, one guy's a little bit cheaper. He's not as good a defender. Nobody would debate that.
It's not even close.
Sure, but you're also talking about the asking price and what it takes to go get that guy. So if I tell you it takes one pick and one pick swap to get Anthony Simons, and he's cheaper, and I got 3 other first-round picks that I could either use to draft guys because I'm going to have big contracts on my books or include them in a trade for somebody else, is there a better way to do it? That's the only thing that I'm asking today if I'm a Magic
But
fan.
you're not even a big Ant guy. We've seen him play his
not
whole
at all.
career.
I think he's a good scorer, and that's it.
Do you want Anthony Simons off ball or with ball?
I'd prefer him with ball.
Okay, that might not happen in Orlando. Guess who's great at catch and shoot threes? Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
Also, let's not overlook the side of the court that matters. Why is Oklahoma City as good as they are? Why is Indiana here? Defense. It matters. You can't just not care about defense. He is infinitely better than Anthony Simons on defense.
Not disagreeing with that at all.
Do you care about the 16th pick in the draft? I would venture to say you don't because you're already mad that we have the 11th. So there's one pick off. Do you care about a pick in 2030? If you believe in your 2 top dudes, in Wagner and Paolo, do you care about a pick from 5 years from now?
I care about it as a future asset to go get something else.
I don't care that much about it. 29, very similar. The 26th pick is potentially a good pick if Phoenix has to blow this up.
Yeah.
But if they keep Booker and they fiddle around with some, role guys, and Phoenix isn't the worst possible team,
They're
that
more
pick
than
might
likely
be
in the
10th.
lottery next year. More than likely in the
Yeah,
lottery.
but that pick might be 10.
Sure.
And if you don't care about 11, I don't know if 10 really moves your needle. My point is, you can't operate a franchise with the idea of we can't lose this 2030 pick. One, who cares about 5 years from now? We're in the now. You got to try to win. The East might be more open than it has been for some of these teams that haven't been able to kind of push forward because of the Boston Tatum injury. I just look at this and I say, he fits a real need. He gives you him and Suggs defensively, if healthy, that's a BMF backcourt defensively. Those are 2 dudes that are going to be nightmares to go against.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree. I think the sticker shock price of these trades, Gobert, Bridges, and also because Luka was traded for almost nothing, which is what are you doing, Nico? I think this number of picks thing is still stunning us, and we're seeing it. We're going, what? I think this is a very good pickup. I really like this trade for Orlando. If I was a Magic fan, I'd be pumped for this because you're caring about your top 2 guys and you're giving your team something they desperately need. They need shooting. They need continued defense. They need a guy that can, play pick and roll, going to be sharing the basketball. Everything about Desmond Bane is something that the Orlando Magic need in my estimation. And so some of those picks, they don't mean as much.
It'll be curious to see where it goes from here in terms of if they do fall short, will there be ability to pivot? Because I think that's one of the things that a lot of these teams struggle with. New York, I think, is going to face
Franz
it now.
can be traded. Paolo could be traded. That's my other take on this. All these Gobert and Towns, we say, you gave up all these picks. Yeah, we did.
And then they traded Karl Anthony Towns 2 years later.
But if you have these players and it doesn't work out collectively, you still trade. You get other stuff for those trades. It's not like you're completely without assets. Your players are your assets.
There absolutely can be another pivot.
I'll ask you this, and then we'll go to Orlando. And I don't want to go too long here. What does this mean for Portland? I mean, I already thought Portland was going to extend Ant, and so I'm just going to wait for the July 1st announcement that we've extended Anthony Simons, and that's an off-season addition that they kind of tout. I don't know where he's traded to if there is a trade.
I don't really know what is left on the board. He needs an extension somewhere. I don't see a team trading for him to be a 1-year rental. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. Although the asking price at this point shouldn't be that high. I have a bad feeling in my stomach that he is going. The guard situation will remain in Portland.
It'll be the same thing.
That we're going to kick the can down the road for another couple of years. You're going to probably draft a guard at number 11. A lot of mocks have you taking a point guard there, which would be the disastrous scenario in all of this, which is to me much more interesting and important than what Orlando looks like. It's that we might be stuck with Anthony Simons for another 3 or 4 years after taking back-to-back guards in the top 10 and maybe another one this year with the 11th overall pick.
Let's go to Orlando. Philip Rossman-Reich is going to join us from the Locked On Magic podcast. What do they make of it? We'll get to the NBA Finals, Oregon State baseball, and we've got Oregon State Pac-12 realignment news, college football news in our notes. How about that over the weekend?
Let's go. We might have a new team.
So we'll get to that. We got a lot to get to. The Daily Ticker is next on The Fan.
Now, Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the NBA Finals are back tonight. Game 5 of the Thunder-Pacers series. OKC is favored by 9.5 at home. Series tied at 2 apiece. Tip-off at 5:30. You can hear that game on 910 ESPN Portland, starting with the pregame show at 4:30. Fresh off a series sweep of the Guardians, the Mariners start their new series with the Red Sox at home. Logan Gilbert makes his return. He's been out the last month or so with an injury. He's going to be starting against Lucas Giolito, who's going to be on the mound for Boston. First pitch at 6:40. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurting and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's back, the 11th annual.
Hey, Pelican Brewing presents today's Daily Ticker. Discover Hard Hops Blackberry Hop-Infused Hard Seltzer and experience your hops differently. At some of those on the golf course on Saturday, they were delightful. We're talking NBA trades over the weekend. Desmond Bane going from Memphis to Orlando. Joining us now to talk about it from the Orlando side of things, Philip Rossman-Reich. You can give him a follow on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. He's the host of the Locked On Magic Daily Podcast. Philip, good morning to you, man. What's been the reaction out there? The Magic making a move, 5 first-round picks essentially for Desmond Bane. How are Magic fans reacted to this so far?
Yeah, after you get past a little bit of the sticker shock, because it's been a while since the Magic made an aggressive move like this, but the reaction's been largely positive. It's a feeling of the Magic got exactly what they needed to boost their offense and make a step toward contention in the Eastern Conference. It feels like a very, very exciting time for this franchise.
Yeah, Philip, help us kind of settle something a little bit here. Me and Coast were just talking about this trade, and look, Orlando kind of one of those small market, Portland kind of similar. It's hard to get free agents every single time. When you got players, you want to build around them. Just the idea of the assets they gave up, right? It's 4 firsts, but there's a pick swap, so we're basically calling it 5 first-round picks. KCP didn't do much, and Cole Anthony a good role guy for them. Thoughts on the price tag for a Desmond Bane, who's never made an All-Star team, but clearly what his skill set is. What did you think of the tag price? What it was going to take to get a Desmond Bane?
Yeah, some of it is that's just the nature of the league right now. With the way that the collective, I don't want to get too deep into the collective bargaining stuff, but the way teams are trying to navigate this new collective bargaining agreement and the rules for acquiring players, you have a lot of teams that have a lot of money on their books that are just trying to kind of offload it. And the best way to do that is obviously you have to still match some salaries, but the best way to do that is if you have someone that's high price like Desmond Bane, he's going to make, I think, $33 million next year. You ask for a lot of picks back, or you get a lot of picks back to take on some of these bad contracts. It's kind of been thought that part of the reason why the Magic could trade Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's just completed the first year of a 3-year deal after a really poor season for him, it would cost a first-round pick to take him. And so it's kind of like, okay, we want Desmond Bane. Here are the contracts that match. Here's a first for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Here's a first for taking Cole Anthony. And, here's the first for actually getting Desmond Bane, the guy that we actually want. So, you look around the league at some of the big deals that have been made, even for kind of these borderline all-star guys. Rudy Gobert went for 5 first-round picks, and that seemed a little crazy, but Minnesota went to the conference finals 2 straight years. Mikal Bridges went for 4 first-round picks. New York Knicks just went to the conference finals. This is kind of the price to get that last big role player that you need to really compete. Maybe the disconnect here is the Magic haven't won a playoff series yet, but they feel like they're very, very close, and so they push their chips in.
Well, I think that's a curious follow-up, too, because I do look at them now as clearly with a number 3 player. They feel good about the move that they've made, and the fans are excited. What are the expectations now on next season? Because a lot of this stuff does get judged quickly. And you mentioned Minnesota and New York. Those are 2 teams that made massive deals in the last couple of years, and they've seen it bear out, at least on the floor, and getting to conference finals and say, see, it was worth it. What are the expectations, and where do you think Orlando fits in the East next year?
Yeah, the expectations are the Magic are going to be competitive at the top of the Eastern Conference. I mean, if you look at the Eastern Conference landscape, it just feels so wide open. Cleveland is still going to be there. They were an elite regular season team, but you got to remember this Magic team took Cleveland to 7 games 2 seasons ago, and very, very much similar squads. And so Orlando, I think, even entering last season, believed that they were good enough to compete for home court advantage in the Eastern Conference. They had a lot of injuries last year. Their top 4 scorers all missed more than 20 games. Paolo Banchero missed 2 months. Franz Wagner missed 20 games. Jalen Suggs played only 35 games, missed a majority of the season. The Magic probably feel like if we were healthy, we'd still be in the race to compete with Indiana, with Milwaukee, with Detroit for that 4, 5, 6 seed. And they probably feel like they'd be competitive with Indiana. Orlando's played really well against the Pacers over the last 2 seasons, and the Pacers are in the finals right now. So I think Orlando looks at this and says, we have a good team now. We didn't get to show it because of the injuries last year, but we have a good team now that needed that little extra boost. We need that surefire offensive option to add to one of the best defenses in the league. That's going to get us over the hump and, kind of skip this step and get them into the second round. And with the way the East looks, with how the Pacers made the finals this year, I think Orlando says, Why can't we do that next year? Why can't we be that team with the top-end talent that they have?
Yeah, Philip, I think a destination for many of us out here, and I know you've mentioned him before. I heard you mention him a little bit on the podcast yesterday in the reaction to the trade. Anthony Simons, he's from Orlando. We have a guard situation here in Portland. He's a veteran player who wants to win. He obviously can get a bucket. I know what the differences are defensively between them. Just your thoughts of it not being Anthony Simons. Were you expecting Simons to be a Magic? And ultimately, did they ever come close? Or do you think this is kind of always they had an eye on a Desmond Bane more so than an Anthony Simons?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Simons has been at the top of my list throughout the offseason. I think when I looked at the Magic and I looked at their needs, they need a point guard. They need a playmaker. They need a creator. They've kind of been doing this by committee approach with their kind of point guard role. Paolo Banchero has the ball in his hands a lot. Franz Wagner has the ball in his hands a lot. Jalen Suggs will help alleviate that. And getting another player who could kind of spread that out as a more traditional point guard, I think, would have been really valuable. And, of course, Anthony Simons being an excellent three-point shooter beyond that, and just a guy who could, hit 6-7 threes in a game and go for 40, that's something the Magic need. Some of it came down to cost too. I didn't think the Magic would be this willing to dip into the kind of financial penalties that come with spending as much as the Magic are going to be spending over the next few years. But at the end of the day, Desmond Bane does a lot of those things that Anthony Simons does, not in the traditional point guard's body, but he does a lot of those things. He averages more than 5 assists per game the last 2 seasons. He is an excellent three-point shooter who has that spurt ability that can get to 30, 40 points on any given night. And at the end of the day, we've been talking about Anthony Simons coming to Orlando for several years. It's been national writers talking about it. I've talked to the Locked On Blazers guy, Mike Richmond, about it a lot too. And at the end of the day, I think what ended up happening is the Magic really do value that defensive piece. And, while I think Simons has the tools to be a decent defender, he's never really shown that yet. And at the end of the day, this has been rumored for so long. It just kind of feels like if the Magic wanted Anthony Simons, they would have had him already. Maybe this felt like a summer where they were kind of going to be forced their hand a little bit and make a compromise summer. But with Desmond Bane, it doesn't feel like they had to make that compromise.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, I'm curious, last one I got for you, Philip, is just looking at, you mentioned the CBA and the way this stuff can get difficult for teams to build rosters. And I think it's a great thing for the modern NBA that it's kind of limited some of these super teams, and having 3 or 4 guys on max deals on the same roster, it just turns into an unbeatable juggernaut. So I know Wagner signed the extension. You mentioned Bane. I think he's got 5 or 6 years left on the deal. It gets pretty pricey towards the back end of it. And then we're waiting for a Paolo extension. How does this all work short and long-term financially for Orlando?
Yeah, it definitely puts them in a little bit of a tight spot. And some of the reason why the Magic had to kind of make this big all-in move this summer is because this is the last summer they're not really dealing with these financial realities. Like you mentioned, Paolo Banchero is going to sign an extension on July 1st, July 6th, whenever he's eligible to do it. It's going to be a max extension. And if he makes All-NBA next year, which I think a lot of us expect him to do, he's going to be making $51 million in the first year of that contract. The good news is, for the Magic at least, and for many of the teams around the league, is that the salary cap is expected to increase by the maximum 10% for several years because of the new TV deal. All these contracts can only increase by 8%. So I think the Magic entered this deal and this idea understanding, okay, we're going to deal with the second apron in the 2026-2027 season. But beyond that, as long as we kind of keep our spending under control and make some smart decisions, we'll be able to keep this group together. A very, very young group. Paolo's 21. Paolo's 21, 22. Franz is 22, 23. Jalen Suggs is 23. Desmond Bane is 26. This is a very, very young team that the Magic now have under control contractually for the next 4 years. The Magic, I think, feel like they can get good enough to win a championship and make this cost worth it for the DeVos family, for the ownership group, over the next 3 to 4 years, and then see if they need to deal with those consequences and tweak some things on the edges to stay in contention. As long as they have Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, 2 all-NBA level players, they're going to be in the fight. It's just getting them the offense and getting them the help they need to get there. And with the East this wide open, it feels like this is the time to strike.
Well, we're bummed out here that it wasn't Anthony Simons, because that's been a marriage we thought was going to happen for many of offseason, and it seems like another offseason has come and gone. And are you sure you don't want him? Last chance, Philip. He's available. You need another guard.
Look, Look, the Locked On Mock Draft comes out today. I swung a deal for Anthony Simon, so I'm not against it. I'm not against it. You'll hear that breakdown for all its relevance later on today.
Salt in the wound. The Orlando guy even had him in the mock trade. Damn it. Philip Rossman-Wright, great stuff. Go give him a follow on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. He's the host of the Locked On Magic daily podcast. Philip, thanks for the time out here in Portland, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
There you go. Philip Rossman-Wright talking Orlando. Very excited. I think that's more Magic than we've talked in the last 15 years on this show.
Probably since Dwight was there.
It's 45. I think we did more Magics today than we did when they even made the NBA Finals.
Yeah, 100%. What I would say, though, wasn't just Orlando-based. I think some of this is just small market team building stuff.
For sure.
If Portland was with a similar situation and made this kind of move, do you have a similar tone, or are you super into the weeds and your two and you go, I like those two. I think they're stars.
Yeah.
We need a guy like this. I'm pumped. Here we go. I think the price tag in the NBA it's changed.
Maybe it has. Maybe that's part of it for me that
yes.
I just got to start getting used to these draft picks getting traded, because if you tell me an all-star is getting traded for 5 first-round picks, if you tell me somebody who is, I'm trying to think of a relevant player in my head, but you get the point of somebody who's a little bit more of a household name, who's had multiple all-star appearances, right? Maybe some all-NBA selections, is going for 5 first-round picks. I don't bat an eye at it.
Right.
And maybe that's just part of it now. We got to get used to it. Also, what does this mean for Portland for going and Orlando, at least I'll give them credit. They have what they feel like is the number 1 and number 2. We don't really have that out here, but for the idea of when you are in the mood to make one of these trades, what is it going to cost to go get somebody?
Because, we had a 1 and we didn't do anything. So.
No, we overpaid. Maybe that's part of it for me is we overpaid for a lot of guys, and this is offensive to Desmond Bane. I'm not comparing them, but we gave up multiple first-round picks for Robert Covington.
It's very offensive
because
to
those,
Desmond Bane.
And I'm not saying that they're the same player. Desmond Bane's a much better player than him, but also 2 first-round picks is different than 4.5, I guess, for what you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it too. That I saw us at times be so desperate for that other guy that we would trade too much. We're still trying to pay off the Derrick Jones Jr. trade.
It's pretty eye-opening, his quote. If the Orlando Magic wanted Anthony Simons,
it
would have
happened
got
by
him.
now.
So they clearly were like,
not going to happen. They wanted Desmond Bane because he plays defense, and I don't blame him at all for that, at least. Pelican Brewing Company presents today's Daily Ticker, as they always do. Discover Hard Hops Blackberry Hop-Infused Hard Seltzer and experience your hops differently. Let's talk a little bit about the fallout of this trade and what it means here locally, and the NBA Finals continues tonight. We're back after this on The Fan.
Ooh,
Got to get to some conference realignment talk in the final hour.
We have a team. We got an 8th team.
And you might have another team, too.
I saw that.
There's all sorts of rumors out there. Get to that coming up in the final hour of the show.
Basketball conference, baby.
You are going to be a good basketball conference, although one school might be joining not for basketball, which would kind of blow, because it'd be good for basketball, but we'll talk about it. Final hour. NBA Finals continues tonight. We'll get to that game in a moment, but before we get to that game in the final hour, this is kind of the weird thing about Mondays when there's a game that happens on a Friday night is that Game 4 of the NBA Finals happened, and we haven't even talked about it yet. Desmond Bain just took up 40 minutes of the show, and the Thunder, somehow, someway, despite trailing the entire game, outscored Indiana by 14 in a game in which, on the road in the NBA Finals, they shot, I want to say it was 18% from three.
It was 18%, 3 of 16.
They made 3 3-pointers the entire game. Not only did they win,
can you name the 3 players
that made the 3?
Yeah.
I'm just going to guess. SGA made 1.
Okay,
I got that.
Right.
Caruso?
Okay.
Did he make a 3?
He made a 3.
Okay.
There's
and
one more.
Do you need to phone a friend?
I need to phone a friend.
I think
Phone
I
a
got
friend.
it.
Who made it?
I believe it was Lou Dort.
The Dort Zone?
Final.
Lou Dort. Trust a
Torture
friend.
chamber.
The Dorture Chamber.
The Dorture Chamber.
Correctamundo.
I mean, they made 3 threes in the game, and not only did they win in comeback fashion, they covered the number. They somehow covered a 6.5-point spread. I still have not quite figured that out. But I do look at that game and wonder, is that one that Indiana's like that was there. 3-1 was in your grasp.
I know.
And then you were outscored 31-17 in the fourth quarter.
Look, sometimes it's the thinnest of margins, and they may end up looking back on that moment and saying, that was our title. Like, it really can come down to that, and that's the moment. And I looked at this. We watched this at the Timbers game. I went and rewatched it on Saturday. I just, for the greatest start they had, too, they came out the gate, and they were up big. Oklahoma City calls a timeout. I thought Breen had a really good point late in the first half of, like, despite everything, it's only a 3-point game.
Yeah, they're right there in the mix.
And I'm like, yeah, it feels so weird because it feels like Indiana should be up 15 points, and they were only up a couple. The tough thing with this is I don't think Oklahoma City's going to be 18.5% from 3 again. I just don't think that that's going to happen.
Especially going home.
Also, can Indiana win? Can they win 2 times in Oklahoma City? Seems like a tall task.
It does seem like a tall task.
And so you don't want to get ahead. Indiana, maybe they win in Oklahoma City tonight, and then they have a closeout situation in Indiana. I'm not leaning that way. I think Oklahoma City wins tonight. If the Pacers lose this, they're going to look back at that fourth quarter, and they're just going to kick themselves.
It was right there. We had it.
It was right there, and 3-1 isn't insurmountable, but we've only really seen LeBron do it. They had an opportunity, and you got to give credit to the MVP. He was the MVP. He was unbelievable in that quarter. He carried that team. He lifted them. Their defensive intensity, I felt like, rose a level somehow in the fourth quarter, which is usually when guys are most tired. So Indiana going into this game 5, it's not impossible, but God, it feels like such a blown missed opportunity. And maybe tonight they'll prove me wrong, but it feels like Oklahoma City may have seized back some of this series.
We'll have some more on the finals. Game 5 is tonight, and it has been a series that has surprised us a couple of times so far, so we'll see if another curveball is thrown our way. Tonight we'll get to Game 5 coming up in the final hour. We also got to talk a little conference realignment. Haven't mentioned the Beaver baseball run very much. They're facing elimination tomorrow. What do we make of their first 2 games? It's a loaded final hour. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, a couple of big trades in the sports world. First in the MLB, the Red Sox traded three-time All-Star Rafael Devers to the Giants for 4 players, including pitchers Kyle Harrison and Jordan Hicks. Harrison was supposed to pitch last night, got pulled right before the game started, didn't end up pitching against the Dodgers. Giants, they're going to cover the remainder of Devers' contract that he signed less than 2 years ago with Boston. Over in the NBA, the Grizzlies sent Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for KCP, Cole Anthony, and 4 first-round picks, as well as 1 pick swap first round. Bane now joins Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Jalen Suggs as the Magic Big Four. J.J. Spawn won the U.S. Open after a rough start and a weather delay. Spawn was the only one under par. He finished at -1 for the tournament. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black
Final hour, Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube. Hope you had a great weekend, everybody. Welcome back in.
Awful Announcing tweeted, let's check in on ESPN, and the graphic is, what is Dak Prescott's legacy right now?
I actually had that coming up at 8:15. What is Dak Prescott's legacy right now? Also, how do the Lakers win a title with Luka next year? That will be the final hour of our show.
We can also laugh at ESPN while acknowledging we did talk a half hour about Orlando Magic trade ahead of the NBA Finals.
We did. The NBA Finals is going on, and we talked about a trade for 45 minutes of Desmond Bane.
And I know you keep saying it that way, but I do find the whole small market team building thing fascinating.
That angle of it's interesting.
We're that team. We're a small market team.
Don't forget, we also spent a good 15 minutes arguing who was the best linebacker. Luke Kuechly, Patrick Willis, or Bobby Wagner.
Most of that 15 minutes was off-air, not on.
Yeah, there was a lot of off-air debate that continued. That got us going a little bit. Did we see Stephen A. Smith playing solitaire at Game 4 of the NBA Finals?
What?
You didn't see this?
Yeah, it's a bad photo.
This is a thing.
It's a bad photo.
Well, is it during a timeout, though?
No. During the fourth quarter of the game, somebody was sitting behind the desk of where ESPN was located for their live show, took a screenshot of him staring down at his phone during the game playing solitaire. And they're like, this is the guy that comes up with the hot takes for $10 million a year? This is the guy? And then he tried to defend himself and saying it was during a timeout. But there was video of it not being during a timeout. So there was that. This came out over the weekend, too. It's only a matter of days until this is all announced. And that's why the grant of rights thing to me a week or two ago, whenever that was at least somewhat relevant. Because it tells you that the media deal is done, it's signed, and now once that's done, you're going to add the extra teams.
Which I would assume at that point they knew the extra team, which was
that's a part of the negotiation.
So it was like, okay, well, wait.
So it feels like all of this stuff is close to at least being crystallized, which will be exciting because then at least you know the answers to a question that many people have been pondering for Pac-12 fandom, and that is, what's the media deal? How much money are you going to make? And who are the other teams that you're adding to the conference? Because we all know that you need one more football member. Mm-hmm. Kyle Bonagura and I think it was Adam Rittenberg maybe.
Nope.
Or no.
Thamel.
Pete Thamel, thank you. Came out with a piece on ESPN yesterday with the latest intel on what's going to happen. And according to ESPN sources, ESPN, the overwhelming heavy favorite to be extended a formal invitation, a.k.a. it's going to happen, to the Pac-12, Texas,
for a drum roll.
Texas State, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
baby.
Texas State.
Texas State, who, by the way, last year was a player 2 away from beating Big 12 champion Arizona State in non-conference.
You're damn right they were.
You remember that game?
Late night game,
It was
right?
super
Yeah, I
controversial.
remember it.
Dillingham was pissed. He wanted time back on the clock. They kicked a game-winning field goal, I believe, if I'm not wrong. They almost pulled off an upset over a team who played in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And damn near beat Texas.
Look, let's get to the Texas State stuff. I
Yeah.
want to highlight something. This is one blurb, and it should not be overlooked whatsoever, which is kind of setting up where I come from on this. I'm excited to have a Texas school involved.
Yeah.
We'll see what Memphis is going to – I guess Memphis is back in play now.
Memphis is looking, according to this, Memphis is appearing as potentially a football-only member.
Which is a bummer because, damn it, if you could have got basketball.
Yeah.
You'd be a powerhouse here.
I think the fear for them is the
travel.
The travel
Yeah.
with the lower expenses
Totally
year in
get
and year
it.
out. So they would join the Big East, I think, for all their other sports. So they'd get to play hoops in the Big East.
That's a great hoops
Makes
conference. This is in the Thamel Bonagura piece. Finances from a new TV deal are expected to be below what the league's consultants pitched schools initially.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
TV deal, ESPN reported schools were shown projected revenue from a TV deal north of $10 million, but conditions have changed. I would just say this. I'm now expecting about 9 to 8.9 because if Thamel's going on ESPN.com and writing about it, I would tend to lean that he knows the ESPN part of that deal is not very much. We know the CW part of that deal is not going to be that much. And so all the CBS, whoever the hell else is involved in that media deal, because it's probably going to be 3 to 4 entities, this is kind of the, hey, it's nice we got a football conference that can be included in a conversation now.
Yeah.
But this is going to highlight the difficulty of me getting really over my skis about college football for an Oregon State. That money doesn't look very good.
No, it's not going to be good, and that's a disappointing part of this. There's no doubt. I don't know if Memphis in football changes that equation at all. Probably not.
Probably
maybe
not,
you get
no.
a couple extra pennies maybe on the back end of the deal. I think the key for them will always be you have to make sure that you are the best Group of 5 conference year in and year out, because there's a massive payout that comes from making the college football playoff.
Sure.
And that automatic bid is still on the line, whether it's Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, doesn't matter who it is. But you got to have one of those teams in the mix every year making the playoff, because then there's a financial windfall that can come at the end of the year that helps overcome a little bit of that. From just a football standpoint, I will say Texas State is obviously not the biggest deal in the world. They were an FCS team, I want to say, until 2012 is when they joined this. I think they were in the WAC for a year, then they joined the Sun Belt, and they did literally nothing for basically a decade until the last 2 years. And they've clearly invested a lot. They've made back-to-back bowl games. And I think a lot of this, if you were the Pac-12 looking for that final football school, if you weren't going to do one of these all-in, let's go get, all of these Tulane and Memphis and, all these teams from the Southeast that had been rumored potentially to come out and join, and you were looking for somebody a little bit closer to home, you're essentially buying stocks, right? Like you're trying to find a stock that you're buying at a cheap price that you think can turn into something bigger than what it actually is. And that's where I do like the move for Texas State, because over the last couple of years,
I get it for Texas
they've
State.
invested a ton in football.
Yep.
They got, a huge enrollment. It's in the state of Texas.
They care a lot.
It's the religion down there. It gets you in, and from a recruiting standpoint, into that state to say, well, you can go play games back in your home state. I think that helps you tremendously. And so while they've been kind of a middling and under the radar Sun Belt team for a long time, actually relatively bad for the first 10 or so years of their existence, they've invested a ton of money the last couple of years. There's a lot of money involved in that university, and they're clearly heading in that direction. And so from that, just from a football angle, I do like the addition of Texas State, who seems to be a team that would be a good stock buy for you in the long run.
I tend to agree with everything you just said. I think the only difficult part is what the finances ultimately end up being with that TV deal. And then also Texas State isn't coming in as some easy pushover.
No.
Texas State is
damn near beat Arizona State last year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying every year that team is going to get better and better. They're going to have some down years once in a while, but it's already not going to be an easy conference for the defending Pac-12 champions to keep reigning in. All right? It's going to be a difficult task as we move forward. I think San Diego State, whether with this coach or the next coach, San Diego State's eventually going to be back into the fold.
For
They
sure.
should be in the conversation. If they're not, it's going to be that Arizona, why aren't they better conversation that we tend to have. But Boise's going nowhere. And now you got Texas State. It's a little bit of an uphill climb. And making the playoff is ultimately what matters the most. But if it's not my team, I also don't care about that revenue that much.
Yeah, I mean, it helps you financially, but
it does.
sure.
It helps them. Internally, it's great for them. They would be ecstatic
It's good
about
for the
that.
university.
As a fan, I don't know how much that's really going to change the circumstance. But maybe it helps baseball stay what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it improves the basketball program in, God, any kind of way, because it's just an irrelevant thing right now outside of the women's game. So, there are ways where it's a positive. For me as a fan, football-wise, it's like, meh.
Yeah, the years where you don't make it as the Group of 5 champion, which I think will be few and far between, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong on that. The years that you don't make it, it's going to be a kick to the nuts because that's going to be a big part of your
Maybe
financials.
Dan Mullen at UNLV has something to say. Maybe
it's
Tulane
somebody
gets
from the
the
Mountain
rest
West.
together.
Yeah,
Yep.
maybe it's Tulane. You
Yep.
never know who it could be. Maybe it's somebody from the – I don't know. But in those years, it will hurt a ton. But I think you go on the limb of Boise State, who has been very relevant and good for a very long time, and 2 former Power 5, like Washington State and Oregon State. I know they're going through coaching changes and new coaches, and we got to find out how those guys are going to be. The bro from South Dakota State, and obviously Trent Bray only in year 1. But you're talking about 2 teams who were relevant at least at times in the Pac-12. And so I think you will be the best Group of 5 conference, but not making the playoff will be a huge financial kick in the nuts for you. When is this announced? I don't know, but based on the reporting on it, I think it's only a matter of days until we find this out. I do think Memphis as a football-only school would be pretty cool, too. Get one more team in there.
I agree with that. I think Memphis is a good program, yeah.
Over the last 20 or so
years.
The
pride of Dan Lanning.
The pride of Dan
Lanning.
Lanning.
That logo is on his body.
And Mike Norvell. The Memphis logo is on his body. And they got a cool stadium. It's a cool place to go visit. Like if you're an opposing fan to go, if you want to go travel somewhere, Memphis would be a cool game to go to. So that would make it would suck to not have them in hoops, but it does seem like at least, and I know that a lot of Beaver fans, yourself included at times, roll your eyes at this, and I don't blame you at all. It's been a long couple of years for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
At least having the answers would be nice. Of just like, all right, we don't have to
at least know what it is.
We know what the financials are. We know who's in our stupid conference. Yep. We know who we're going to play every year. Like, all right, at least that's settled, and now we'll see how it plays out over the next couple of years. But I do think there's a nauseating factor of it just as a story that won't go away.
I'm ready for it to be done so we can move on to the stuff that I do care about.
This will be your conference schedule every year.
There
now
you
know. This is where your games will be on TV. Now we know. And so hopefully
Texas State could be a destination, too, for fans that want to go to a...
Where is Texas State in Texas? Do you know the answer to that?
I know it's a big party school.
It is a big party school?
It's number 1, I believe. They're like the Wildcats.
It's number 1 party school?
I believe so. It's them or Arizona State.
It's San Marcos, Texas.
San Marcos. Where is San Marcos? Can somebody...
give me a second here.
Somebody put that on the map for me.
Yeah.
It's by a river.
San Marcos.
That would be correct.
This says the San Marcos campus is located midway between Austin and San Antonio.
That's a good spot.
I bet you I wonder if I've driven through it then, because I drove from San Antonio. Oh, I drove from Austin. Oh.
I've never been to San Antonio.
Yeah,
or
I drove
Austin.
from Austin to San Antonio.
San Antonio's nice.
I wonder if I drove right through it and had no clue.
You probably did.
Yeah.
You passed through future Pac-12 member Texas State.
Highway 35 would actually make the most sense, so I bet you I did drive right past it.
So that's a good little spot, though, if you are going, because then you could fly into Austin.
Yeah.
Spend a couple of days in Austin.
Yep.
Drive down for the game, and then fly out. You can even fly out of San Antonio if you want. How long's a drive from Austin to San Antonio?
2 hours, I believe.
Oh, it's only about 2 hours? That's not bad.
It's not that long.
Okay.
And San Antonio's probably the cheaper flight spot, honestly.
You time it right. You get a Blazer game in San Antonio, and you get a late season game at Texas State.
See Wemby, see your Beavs. Stop by for some live music in Austin, and you fly your ass home. That's a good little trip right there.
Maybe you time it really well. You get a Spurs-Blazer game in during a weekend, and then there's like a mid-afternoon Longhorn game. You drive up to Austin, you eat after, you drive to Texas State for some Pac-12 after dark.
Yeah.
Oregon State at Texas State.
Yeah. If it said Texas State is a joke of an ad, let's stop pandering. Look, I don't blame you for the opinion.
I think most people that are not Oregon State fans,
That's
fine.
fine.
I totally see the opinion.
They
just needed another school.
They needed another
and this
football
was the
member.
worst possible option.
And UNLV doesn't seem to be willing to leave the Mountain West, which I think will be something they regret as the years go on. I don't know if that's I haven't read that much on it. I don't know if it's a Nevada UNLV can't be separated kind of conundrum.
Mm-hmm.
I would have taken both of them probably, but UNLV has shown no willingness to join the conference. Memphis doesn't want their non-Olympic sports to join because it's too much money for them to travel for women's volleyball games to come out to Corvallis and Pullman. Football only could make sense, but it's not a guarantee that it happens. So my retort to that is literally to exist as a conference, you needed to add somebody else. So who else did you want them to add?
No, I mean, I'm not going to. So I think the person's point is valid. They needed a school. It's not a bad one.
Yeah.
This is random, and I don't want to throw the whole show off.
I
don't think this would anyway. How about this from Thamel 19 minutes ago? He just tweeted, going forward, Cal football coach Justin Wilcox will report. to general manager Ron Rivera.
Yeah, Ron Rivera's their GM.
I knew that, but what is that report? Did something happen?
It's the new era of college football, man.
I know, but what happened to tweet that out?
We have GMs.
Going forward.
I think their president somebody just stepped away, stepped down. Stepped away. That didn't
passed
sound right.
away.
He did not pass away. Somebody just left Cal.
But it reads as if Wilcox did something wrong. Going forward, you will listen to your mother.
Yeah, their athletic director just retired.
Okay.
So that's why he said that.
Just worded
Checking
kind of
on that,
vaguely and like, oh, what's going on?
We had our first GM fire a football coach. Andrew Luck fired
Taylor.
Taylor at Stanford. That was the first time we'd seen a new college football GM fire a head coach.
Kind of knew that was going that way, given the stuff around Taylor, but also
Andrew Luck should just be the coach.
Luck is Buster Posey here. He is running that program.
Yes, he is. So it looks like Texas State will be the latest edition or last, potentially, of the Pac-12. Yeah, I don't blame people for being down on it. I also think that a lot of these things change, man. You know where they love college football? Texas. You know where they're going to spend a lot of money on college football? Texas. And so you just added a school from Texas. I think you could have done a lot worse. And we'll see how it plays out long term. And when we finally get the announcement from the Pac-12. We're back after this. Still got to get to Game 5 of the NBA Finals. The Beavs are in action in the College World Series. Back after this on The Fan.
Check out.
Welcome back in, 8:19. Well, Texas State might be a joke to some people. You know who's not a joke? The Beaver baseball program. They're in the
Well.
College World Series, Bob.
Yeah, they've had a great year. That was really unfortunate, the start to that game, which Will Ortner spoiled for me because I was recording the game.
Oh, he did yesterday. Huh?
Yeah, I was
Who
out.
records games anymore?
Somebody with 2 children on Father's Day.
Yeah, I
when
record
it's
games quite often.
75 and sunny.
It's an age thing.
quite
I do it
often.
to Swag all the time. Every time it's on accident. But I just want to talk sports, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I've gotten to the point now where I don't really get mad about the spoiling, but I do record a lot of stuff to go back and watch it.
I don't either. I'll look up results and then still go rewatch
Still go
it.
watch the game.
I'm not weird like that. It was more so it had just started, and he goes, "Man, bummer of a first inning," and I didn't even think he would bring it up. So I was going to get off the gambling show and go watch. And so I just went fast forward and I lived to the 3rd inning, and so I had to go rewatch the first, and I'm like, cool.
Now, I missed the first inning because I was watching the golf, and I was not going to dual screen that thing.
Air, out, double. Boom, bases cleared.
I saw they had 2 outs, and the guy hit a bases clearing double, so that was a bit of a whammy.
1 hit, 3 runs.
That's pretty brutal.
I asked him if it was a bomb. He goes, so you're not watching?
You're not watching the game?
I said, I recorded.
What's the matter with you?
I said, who's recording?
Thought you were a Beaver fan, man. Well, it started on Friday. Again, the weird part about the Friday-Monday thing is that they played another game on Friday that ended in a happier fashion for Beaver fans.
Yeah, but almost heartbreak again.
Did not. What's up with them booting the ball around? They had 3 errors. They were farting around in the 9th inning against Louisville on Friday, and then came back. And, of course, the timing of it was great. I had a buddy point this out over the weekend. He was like, the commentator said legitimately, I can't remember who hit the walk-off, but whoever did. Turley. He walks up to the plate and they say, Oregon State's never had a walk-off in their history in the College World Series. And like 2 seconds later, ping, down the left field line. Doc Parker's call of it was great. So you start with this like high elation from nearly a devastating point of blowing a game against Louisville.
You did. You blew the lead. You were 3-1. You blew the lead.
But you won. Doesn't matter. There's no pictures on the scorecard. Win's a win this time of year. You're not facing elimination right out of the gate. Now you are because of that bad start. They take on Louisville again. We get a rematch of the game from Friday night. How we feeling 2 games in about our Beavs?
Meh.
Like, little up, little down?
It was great to see them get the walk-off against Louisville, but I'm terrified of Louisville. But Oregon State's just playing sloppy baseball right now, despite having a win. The story of yesterday in that 6-2 result isn't that you got like home run after home run given up. It was you can't do like basic plays.
Yeah, very simple stuff.
I mean, they had one during Louisville that helped like them come back in that 9th where Weber's backing up an awful throw by Arquette, and I thought he was actually fake throwing, but on the replay, he looks like he's trying to gun the runner down at second, and in his back motion,
it just slips.
The ball just flops out of his hand, and he has no idea where it is. So the guy then goes to third, and it's just like they're leading the World Series in errors right now.
They've made a lot of them 2 games into their World Series run.
Kleinschmidt was really awesome against Florida State. I thought he was not getting enough conversation. I actually thought he outdueled Florida State starter, and he just, a sloppy start in the 1st inning, and they start batting it around a little bit, and it's just sloppy baseball. It's nice that they won a game. I'm not giving up on them yet.
Sure.
They can beat Louisville again.
Absolutely.
But now your backs are against the wall, much like it was in your regional. And so we'll see how they respond to it and if they can get Louisville again. But just sloppy, disgusting kind of baseball right now.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the only team eliminated so far is Arizona. Is everybody else still in the dance?
Yeah,
Am I
Murray
right on
State,
that?
Arkansas played a
They played a day
to see who's eliminated because Arkansas being eliminated in 2 games, they were the favorite.
Yes,
they were the school that everybody thought, and then LSU beats them, and now here they are, backs against the wall.
They lost their first game, and Murray State lost their first game. So the loser of that game today will be eliminated as well, enjoying Arizona on the sidelines. UCLA and LSU play again, and then the winner of the Arkansas-Murray State game, I believe, will go on and play UCLA-LSU. Is that how it works? Yeah? Sure. Seem confident. So that's where we're at. Arizona's the only team that's been eliminated. Oregon State is off until tomorrow. They played 11 a.m. tomorrow, early start time. They get the earlier game today.
I like it.
The atmosphere on Friday night, I'll give them this, and I think we have a buddy out in Omaha who was there talking about it. I heard him over the weekend. The atmosphere on Friday looked insane. And I don't know if it was just a collection of the opening night, All the fan bases were kind of there, just being excited to be in Omaha, buying their Jell-O shots. It was a little bit more tampered down last night for their game, but that Louisville game...
You thought it was tampered down last night?
It wasn't quite the Friday effect. Like that place...
Coastal's fans were crazy.
Coastal fans were there for
that at the end there.
They totally did. And they made a little comeback there in the ninth inning to try and make it somewhat more interesting. The Friday night game seemed like it wasn't like that was an intense ending too, because they blew the lead in the ninth inning and they came back and won the game in the bottom of the ninth inning. So that was a lot of fun. They play tomorrow facing elimination. Your games today again are Arkansas, Murray State, the winners, and UCLA, or excuse me, the losers, and UCLA and LSU are the losers.
Need to get the, maybe I'll never see it, but want to see one of those like 12-run. I want to see the bats get going a little.
Just
bit
one
here.
of those games.
If you're not going to be
that Florida State first inning in the final game is what you need again, where you put 7 on the board.
Well, and then you end up with what? What do they end up with? 14 in that one?
I think 14 in the game.
So
yeah.
I'd love to see one of those. It'd be nice, especially if you're going to commit this many errors.
It'd be nice to wake up the offense a little bit. So Oregon State's World Series run underway. They've played 2 games so far, and their next game is tomorrow. Will we continue to watch if they get eliminated tomorrow?
I'll keep an eye.
Keep an eye?
It depends on the matchups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See who's still in the mix. Murray State, Coastal Carolina.
Well, as many people know, Coastal won this thing in 16.
Everybody
right?
remembers that.
that.
Everybody remembers their title run in 2016.
Where were you moment? Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'll never forget where I was.
When the Chanticleers won a national title, it was a big deal.
But they are, they're impressive to watch, despite them only, getting the one earned run or what have you. Like, they're pretty impressive, man.
They are.
That team, they are. They feel it, and we'll see what LSU does. It really just depends on the matchups.
Yeah, I'm probably out if Oregon State loses, I'll be honest with you, but we'll see how far they can make it. That pitcher for Coastal Carolina tonight was the balls, dude. He was good. That dude's a stud. They had the graphic up. I think it was Morrison his last name.
Did you hear him say he probably made some money for himself tonight? I bet he did.
I bet he did, dude. 109 pitches. Like, he went all the way into the 8th inning. He had 2 outs, I think, in the 8th inning. Couldn't quite get the full 8 innings in. Had a little traffic. And then that catch along the right field wall, I know it was, 6-1 at the time, so maybe it doesn't make a huge difference, and it was a foul ball. But that catch to end the inning was pretty awesome for Coastal Carolina. They were making plays. So there is your College World Series breakdown. You got anything to add, Will Ortner?
I'd like LSU to go far. Livy Dunn's there. The more that they win, the more that she'll stick around.
Is she there the entire time?
She said Omaha is her favorite sporting.
I know she was at their opener
event to be at. That's her favorite thing.
But this goes on for like a week and a half, right? She's just hanging out in Omaha for a week and a half.
What else is she gonna do?
I mean,
she can film
start a
Viore
game
E
anywhere
at some point.
Yeah.
She's not gonna go to a skiing.
She's not gonna go fly up to Pittsburgh and watch him pitch.
He just started like this weekend, and she was in Omaha. She doesn't care.
They destined to be lovebirds forever.
Is that like a pay thing? You think college baseball or ESPN are paying her to be there?
Someone is.
I mean, LSU. That'd actually be a really smart investment.
I mean, if she's on TV, according to Will Ortner, people will watch. So
guaranteed,
that's
people
a decent.
Will Ortner is telling me he will watch if Livy Dunn is on the screen.
Decent way to get eyeballs to the TV. Having Livy Dunn there.
Viore right now myself.
Yeah. There you go.
Flying out to Omaha. So we'll see. Go Beavs. We'll see if they win tomorrow. We'll have more on that game tomorrow. Should we get our Louisville guy back on tomorrow? You want a rubber match? Rubber match Daily Ticker? Get him on again? What do we know? I don't know. We were at a bar on Friday getting ready to go to the Timbers game, and that game was on. And we had a coworker who was rooting aggressively for Louisville. Just to rub it in the face.
Duck
coworker
fan rooting
here?
for Louisville. Yeah.
A coworker here. Chuck was rooting for Louisville.
He kept screaming, "Go Louisville!" He'd slam the table with his big mitt. He's got that big Midwestern paw.
He does. He's got big bare hands.
He didn't go to Louisville?
No, he's a Duck fan.
He didn't even know He didn't even know the proper way to say Louisville.
Yeah.
Did he go to Oregon?
I think so. Maybe.
At this point, I don't know who actually went to Oregon and who didn't.
I think I'm calling Bush League on that. I don't think you get to be
he's a diehard
mean.
Duck fan.
No. I think I'm calling Bush League. You don't get to root hard for Louisville if you're not a Louisville
He was
fan.
trolling me. It
was just a troll of
He's
Sprague.
just trolling. He
But
wasn't
then-
literally caring about
This was a bar over by Providence, so there's a lot of Timbers fans there getting ready to
Our
go to
friends
the
at
game.
10 Barrel.
And after the game was over, or the baseball game was over, Chuck is a big Timbers guy. We're just whatever. We support our city. We're rooting for the Timbers when we're at the game, but I don't live and die with the outcome.
Timbers.
Almost got murdered.
And an entire a bar full of Timbers people. Sprague not realizing he was again in a bar full of Timbers people,
And it had quieted down right in this moment for some reason.
in this moment. Quiet bar, pretty full. Again, a lot of Timbers fans yells out a go San Jose, Timber sucks, something along those lines. And everybody in the bar turned around and looked at him.
Dude,
and
I
thought,
got all the
are
eyeballs.
we going to get in a fight right now? Did
And
we
I
just start
wasn't-
a fight in a bar?
I actually had a green T-shirt underneath because I knew they were wearing the green and the
You did,
gold.
Yeah.
And I looked around, and the
It's
people
colors
right
on.
next to us at our table, because it
Like,
was one of
whoa.
those big tables, looked at us. I look over at the bar, and the
Whoa,
whole
bro.
bar scene just looking at me, and I'm like,
Calm down over
I'm just
there.
kidding. I'm a Timbers fan. I'm just kidding.
How'd they lose Sprague? Well, he got angry at Chuck at a bar, so he started rooting for San
He
Jose.
was rooting for the earthquakes, man. That'll do
Damn
it
it,
to you.
Chuck.
The Timbers bar, it's going to get you in a little bit of trouble. So that happened on Friday. Go Beavs. We'll see if they win tomorrow. We'll talk about that as well. Let's get to Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Does the series tilt back in one direction or the other? Does OKC have the momentum? We're back in Oklahoma City now. We'll get to that. Game 5 of the Finals next. But first, here's us with a FUPdate.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Sports Center is brought to you by Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. Call in your special Butcher Shop orders for Father's Day weekend or pick up a gift card for Dad. LaurelhurstMarket.com. I just want you all to know I have brought 2 stories because I failed you.
Because you
last
weren't
week.
ready last time?
I wasn't ready, but
Okay.
this time I'm bringing the heat.
Bring it.
Joey Chestnut just tweeted out 7 a.m. I am thrilled to be returning to the Nathan's famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest. This event means the world to me. It's a cherished tradition and a celebration of
what?
American
A
culture.
terrorist
A
tradition?
cherished tradition and a celebration of American culture. A huge part of my life. Also, Bruce, the Nationals bat retrieving dog, made his MLB debut this weekend.
That's pretty cool. I'm all for that. Did sound like you said terrorist there. There was a wildlife documentary that actually filmed this happening, and people had known about this. How about this? If you believe in karma and reincarnating, how about coming back as a dolphin that sucks on a pufferfish so you can be high and hallucinate? They found a pod of dolphins actually passing around a pufferfish in their pod.
Puff, puff, pass.
And then they would float to the water surface, and they'd be mesmerized by their own reflections afterwards.
Just giggling
Just
away.
giggly little dolphins. Hey, man, puff, puff, pass.
Have you seen the strategy that one Chinese person invented to cure people of back pain, insomnia, and headaches?
No.
So essentially, it puts you on what is a head swing. So basically, it's a rope that goes around. You could do it at a playground or at a swing, and it's like a swing for your face. You put your face in this thing, and it only holds you up by your face, and you swing your body back and forth.
Sounds terrifying.
And people in China are like raving about this method of curing insomnia, headaches, and back pain, saying it works wonders. And a bunch of doctors are trying to come out and say, please don't do this, but go watch the videos. They're hilarious.
So
People
it
just swinging around from their head.
It cures back pain by giving you neck pain.
That's right.
Got it. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts of
Will Ortner did give us some big news in that last segment. It's only a few weeks away. American hero Joey Chestnut is returning to the hot dog eating contest.
Can we not?
Throw some glizzies down our gullet.
The GOAT, dude.
The GOAT's back. The GOAT is back on the 4th of July.
What happened to his vegan dog Netflix thing?
I think he's still doing that, but he's claiming...
Didn't they not allow him to do it, though? Because they have to be specifically with Nathan's?
He said, those relationships were never of conflict with my love for hot dogs. To be clear, Nathan is the only hot dog company that I've ever worked with, and I respect that there were differences in interpretation, but I'm grateful we've been able to find common ground.
I'm just like, can we get over the Joey Chestnut thing?
He said it's a cherished tradition and a celebration of American culture.
What are we going on now? 15 years of just this guy scarfing wieners down? Like, can we get literally anything else?
Let me see how many years in a row he's won.
I'm tired of Joey Chestnut being the only name that we bring up on July 12th.
Well, somebody's got to challenge his greatness until we do. That's what we need.
This is why
it used to be Kobayashi, and then Joey Chestnut came in and said, "Get out of here."
It's overrated
like
at this point.
hero.
Nobody wants to watch this guy.
He lost to Matt Stoney in 2015.
Yeah, it's 2025. It was a decade ago.
So he won from 2007 to 2014.
And then lost 1 year, and then hasn't lost
one
since.
year.
Okay.
And then regained his reign atop
Cool.
every year since 2016.
I'm kind of tired of it. Like, we get it, dude. You can eat a lot of hot dogs. Get over yourself. You're not even eating a hot dog properly, by the way. You're eating just the wiener, and then you're dunking your bread so it just dissolves. That shouldn't count. Eat a hot dog like a normal human being, and then I'll be impressed. I'm tired of watching these people put 5 wieners in their mouths and then basically borderline choke themselves to death just so they can get off the stage, yak it all up in a bucket.
I don't eat the wiener.
And, act like they really
Dude,
ate
I could
80
choke
hot
down
dogs.
6 of those
Eat
easily.
a real hot dog like a human being does, and then give me what that number is. This whole dipping into a cup thing, it's a little overrated.
We could do it here at the Fan. I mean, we could
I have
do
no
it the
interest.
I've
correct
tried
way.
6 hot dogs during the show. I've done it. I mean, we're welcome to
See, that's the thing,
I'll
Will.
take you on, man.
another
Let's
hot dog
go.
eating
Are you going to
contest.
eat like Chestnut or like a normal person?
I would eat like a normal person if those were the rules.
I raw
would do
dogged them. I didn't put any sauce on them, but I also
don't
like
do
raw
sauce
dog
either.
hot dogs.
Yeah, I don't do sauce either.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of mustard, but
Oh,
that's about
dude.
it.
I like a loaded dog. Give me some mustard, some
See, this
relish,
is your
some
problem.
kraut,
This is why you
some
can't
onion.
take down 87 of them.
I don't
got too
wanna.
much. You got too much stuff on there.
You know who else doesn't? Joey Chestnut's stomach. He quite literally tells him, nope, too much, get out of here.
Yeah, you got to, in order to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. So until somebody knocks off Joey Chestnut, he's going to be in your life
Well,
every
why
year.
is this still a story? It's Joey Chestnut in the field, and everybody just takes Chestnut and he wins.
It's that time of year, Bob. It's that time of year.
No, it doesn't need to be that time of year.
It's the 4th
I
of
would
July.
rather talk about Dak Prescott's legacy than
Would
Joey
you,
Chestnut.
Would you really?
Yes.
What would you rather do a segment on, Joey Chestnut or Dak Prescott's legacy?
Whose legacy is more impactful?
What's the better segment? Dak Prescott.
I think it's Dak Prescott.
Where does he fit in the pantheon of NFL quarterbacks?
Did you see the Dallas coach come out and say, we're going to win so much that my assistants are going to get stolen? Buddy, you
I
haven't
did see
coached
that.
a game.
I did see that. His dad did, though. His daddy won a lot of games.
Not in the playoffs.
No, not in the playoffs. No,
His
he did
name's
not.
synonymous with choking, which is
That's-
what Joey Chestnut borderline does on those hot dogs.
But he doesn't. He finishes those dogs.
It's ridiculous.
He's the greatest of all time.
It's ridiculous.
And he's back for another run. I'm with you, Ortner. I
Can't
can't
wait.
wait.
We're gonna watch.
Can't wait for the 4th
Might
of
even
July.
TiVo it.
I'm gonna record it because I might be out doing something. I'm gonna record it and watch him eat all those hot
I'm gonna
dogs.
be at my parents' house, so
Yes.
I will be able to
I'm
record
gonna eat
it.
along at home.
You're not going to watch.
I'm gonna be throwing
I
doggies
know
in my
you. You're going to be golfing.
throwing doggies in my mouth.
And you're only going to do it so you can go on some BetMGM network show and say, I had Chestnut under 68 and a half dogs. I cashed that ticket at 7-1. That's the only reason you're going to watch it.
You know me way too well because that's
do.
100% what I'm gonna do.
You get more on airtime, and you get to be the guy that said, I told you so at good odds. Other than that, you wouldn't care about. Nobody watches this.
Quit throwing out my
I mean, people
playbook, man.
watch, but
No, they
not-
don't.
People watch.
What was the viewership last year?
Let me pull it up.
What if it has higher ratings than the finals?
That would actually. I will suspend myself for a week if that's accurate.
If that's the yeah, that would be pretty bad.
If you tell me 10 million people watched this dude scarf down all of those dogs, I'm going to be so upset. I will
Let's
lose.
see
I mean,
here.
I've already kind of lost hope. I will lose more hope.
Highest rated broadcast was in 2014. They got basically 3 million viewers in 2014.
3 million
mil?
losers.
Yeah.
3 million losers.
Milli, milli.
Let's see.
3 million losers.
Millie.
Hold on.
What
Hold
are you
on.
doing?
I'm trying to find this. I want to know this. The broadcast drew last year 900,000 viewers.
But
What,
no
give or
Joey
take.
Chestnut
But
last
no
year.
Joey Chestnut last year. He was barred from competing.
So they're getting UFL viewership numbers?
They had
Those were
small
the-
market teams in last year.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, that's like as many people as watch the MLS final.
Don't do that.
They're beating the MLS.
Stop. I mean, I'm just saying.
Is
Stop.
hot dog eating
Was it
the
paywalled,
fifth
though?
sport?
Was the final paywalled?
I don't think. Maybe.
Was
Could
it
have been.
behind Apple TVs?
I don't know.
You stop it. Don't poo-poo the soccer in the midst of us poo-pooing this hot dog eating contest.
I'm just saying they're on the same level. July 4th hot
Okay, but let
dog
me
eating
ask you
contest, MLS championship are on the same television ratings level.
If you watch somebody at a barbecue say,
That's where
dude,
we're
I
at.
could scarf down 20 dogs.
So to your point, if nobody watches,
they got as many viewers as soccer. Okay, AA soccer at best. It's not the Premier League. Second of all, if you watch somebody say they could scarf down 20 to 30 dogs at your barbecue,
yeah,
and then you watched them just take the hot dog and eat it by itself and then dunk bread and shove it, I think you'd be like,
that'd be gross out. I don't want to watch
not,
that.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm with you there. If I have to watch that in person or somebody's doing that at my house, I'm going to kindly ask them to leave. Don't eat hot dogs that way. That's disgusting.
Dunking it in water.
That's absolutely disgusting. Did Indiana miss their opportunity to win the finals?
I mean, it's easy for me to say yes because I had the Thunder in 6, but I'm not going to eliminate completely. It's not 100% yes, but yeah, I feel that way.
Yeah. Game 4 was their chance.
They had the stranglehold, man.
Yeah.
They had it, and then they didn't. And now here you go back to OKC for Game 5. Oklahoma City just won, and they shot 18.5% from 3.
They need a Halliburton game. He's had moments, I feel like.
But this is kind of in a nutshell who he is. Like,
yeah, he's a good player.
It's
but
what makes him polarizing, Dirt, is he'll have a 13-15-12, a 32-15-12 game, but
right.
he'll also largely give you 20 and 9.
He's only gone over 20 points once in the finals, and he's barely shooting 30% from 3. A lot of that is the credit to Oklahoma City's defense and what they're doing against him. So it's not easy to go out and just say, hey, go drop 30, Halliburton, because it's not an easy thing to do against their defense. But I do feel like this is a big one tonight, just to at least stay competitive. I know they're going to get Game 6 at home no matter what the outcome is tonight, but excited to see it. Indiana, to their credit, man, as many times as I've tried to count them out or tell them they don't have a chance in the series, they come out and win Game 3 at home, they win Game 1 on the road. Like, they found a way to do it repetitively throughout the course of the playoffs, and so we'll see if they can do it again. Some more thoughts on Game 5. We got a bunch of poll questions to answer. We'll wrap it up on a Monday next on The Fan.
It's back.
All right, let's get to the poll questions before we get to
Oh, I forgot to post one.
the
but
NBA
go ahead.
Finals. Okay.
Post. I'll try to post it as you read the results.
Brilliant strategy by the executives of sports to not have a championship game on Father's Day Sunday evening. That was kind of a gaping hole in my life last night. I don't know if you're a
I
Beaver
would
fan, you're
argue-
watching, but
I'd argue better.
give me US Open into an NBA Finals game or a
Oh.
Stanley Cup Final game. Now I got all day.
I don't want to derail this segment.
All
I'm
my
just gonna
boxes
tell
are
you something.
checked.
I got to the end of the day and I was show prepping. I was upstairs. Delightful little Father's Day.
Sure.
I was watching Curb.
Yeah.
As I tend to do in my off time when I don't know what to watch.
Just turn on Curb.
And I was watching an episode, and then the episode after that was Palestinian chicken.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of the back end of that episode, and I was talking to my oldest before I went to bed, and all of a sudden I heard screams. And it was when the woman and Larry and my 9-year-old looked up at the screen.
Yeah,
and
what's going on here?
it was more.
What are they doing?
Yeah, no, it was abundantly clear what they were doing, and my wife did not know this was that episode or that episode existed. And so my daughter just says,
Some very vulgar language in that episode.
dude, when
Very vulgar
they're
language.
passionately getting it on,
Yes.
she's making love with
A lot of conflicts going on over
Right.
there right now, so maybe it's a
Exactly.
newsworthy episode for her to watch.
As I escort my daughter out, my wife is screaming in horror that this has happened. My daughter goes, "Is she gonna do that to you?" That's. And I was like,
For anybody who's seen that episode, that joke is phenomenal. I don't even know what you respond to that with.
well, I said, of course not. But in my head, I said, I hope
please,
so.
please, God, yeah, it's Father's Day. Help me out a little bit here at the end of the day. Oh, that's great. Which athletes smell the worst while playing? Football players, hockey players, race car drivers, or wrestlers? Your leading answer right now, hockey players, 41.7% of the vote. Wrestlers in second. So hockey players running away with it currently. 24.3% for wrestlers. Then it goes football players, 18.4%, and race car drivers, 15.5%.
I'm still voting race car.
Still
Cannot
go race
smell
car?
good in that car.
Race cars are in last right now. We asked, with the news of Orlando trading Desmond Bain, what do you think will happen with Anthony Simons in Portland? He'll be extended or he'll be traded. 65.2% of you say he'll be traded. Or excuse me, he'll be extended. So that's kind of a depressing feeling amongst the fan base right now. 34.8% of you do have the hope that he will be traded. And last but not least, we got one more that we just put out. But who was the biggest trade over the weekend? Rafael Devers got dealt to the Giants in baseball. And Desmond Bain to the Magic. Right now, 68.9% of people are saying Rafael Devers to the Giants.
Somebody said top 10 hitter. Is Bane top 10 anything? Fair.
That's fair. Yeah.
3-point shooter.
That's
Yes,
fair.
he is.
Yeah, from a percentage standpoint, he's been really good in his career. He's over 40% in his career.
I
shooting
also
three ball.
just posted another one just now as you just to settle a off-air, on-air slight conversation. Who at the prime of their career was the better player? Bobby Wagner, Luke Kuechly.
Bobby Wagner. Duh.
I'd put Willis on this, but you would probably hate how much the Niner beats the Seahawk in that poll question.
Yeah, that'd be pretty bad.
Longevity is getting
Longevity's
downgraded.
great. I give Wagner a lot of credit.
Yeah.
He'll
He's
be in the
getting
Hall.
He was good last year, too, for Washington.
He's the greatest Utah State player to ever play.
no one recognized how
Yeah.
great Van Gogh was until he died. That's what you're doing to my guy.
Appreciate greatness while you can.
I think you're making actually an argument for Kuechly because his career was shorter. So like
the
No,
things
what
he
I'm-
accomplished in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I
and
think you're making an argument for Kuechly.
such a
there.
high-level player,
Yeah.
consistently.
He's a very good number 2 for his era. Few were as good as he was, but one
Kuechly
was
out to a
better.
strong start already on this poll question.
So you can go vote on all
Most
those.
people are idiots.
At Dirt Sprague on Twitter. We talked about it in the last segment. Game 5 of the finals is tonight. I'm trying to go into tonight with a just sliver of hope that I have been surprised multiple times already in the playoffs and in this final series with what Indiana's been able to do. Them coming back and winning Game 1 was wildly impressive. And then to turn around and win Game 3 in a situation where after they got blown out in Game 2, they bounced back. And I know that one was on their home floor. It's easier to do it in that scenario. I'm going in with just a sliver of hope that tonight surprises me because my gut is telling me what my gut was telling me for Game 4. Now, I shouldn't have cashed that ticket, but somehow I did, and so I'm not going to complain about it. My gut is telling me it's an OKC, not blowout, not 30-point blowout, but a consistent 10 to 15-point lead the majority of the night. Probably a slight cover in a game that's, maybe a 14-point win for the Thunder.
I think we're getting a lot of banks tonight from Breen, and I think it's going to come via Oklahoma City. They shot as poorly as you could and still won a game.
Now they're back at home.
Yeah, what's the line?
9.5 is the line.
That bothers me.
A little bit down from where it was in game 1, game 2. I think it was 10, I want to say, in the first 2 games of the series.
That's about what the difference seems to be in this series, is kind of close to that number. Look, I'm holding out some hope that Indiana, the thing that Indiana did that leaves me hopeful, I guess I should frame it this way. I actually thought their 2 games at Indiana, they played their style of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to look back on that game 4 and think, we had a real chance to put a stranglehold on this thing. You should still fly back to Oklahoma City despite losing with the kind of confidence that, like, we got our style of play down. We just need to hit more shots, and we need Halliburton to be a little better.
And we got to finish when we got to lead.
You get those things, and I think you can be in okay shape, and maybe you can pull off an upset here because, man, imagine what we're saying if they win tonight, and they're going to go back to Indiana for a potential closeout game.
Yes, that'd be wild.
It'd be really wild.
Be awesome.
And it's not impossible, but I do kind of think that was a moment, and Oklahoma City tonight, I hate saying it. I think I lean OKC in that number.
I think I would too. Who's the guy for Indiana? They've had random guys throughout the playoffs that have had big moments in big games when they won earlier in game 3. I think that Mathurin went off. He had 27 in that
27.
game.
McConnell had all the steals.
Yeah. Mathurin followed up his 27 with 14 minutes and making 1 shot.
Also missed 2 big free throws late in that game.
Late in the game, and missed 3 free throws on the game. Who's the candidate tonight? Who's our pick to click for the Pacers? The random guy that goes off.
I'm gonna go just chalk. Halliburton has to be big in this game. I think Halliburton needs 25 or more for them to pull this off.
Yeah, I like OKC minus 9.5. I hope my gut is wrong on that one. Come on, Pacers. Get one more win. Take this thing with a 3-2 series lead back home. That will do it for us, folks. If you missed any of the show, go check the podcast, 1080thefan.com, at Turton Sprague and at 1080thefan on Twitter. We went to Orlando for the Daily Ticker to talk about, hey, why didn't you want Anthony Simons, and what does Desmond Bane mean for the Magic long term? You can go check those as well. As soon as we're done, we'll post them. That will do it for us, everybody. Thanks for being a part of our Monday. Hope you had a great Father's Day weekend, everybody. Like the video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you haven't done so yet. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Calling us next. You're listening to 1080 The Fan.
Hola, amigos!